Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my open house of horror, and to a series of stories from the other side of sanity. This is the second, and in the science of numerology, a science that has long intrigued me, it is said that the number 2 is a strongly feminine number. My story today shows a woman who is indeed strong, surprisingly so, and it is a story which may disturb you by its implications, but the frontiers of science are forever being pushed back, and the doctor in my story acted only from the purest of motives. Could the same be said of Mary Pearl, the somewhat plump and merry widow who confided in me at a cocktail party? Yes, as I was saying, the number 2 has a strongly feminine aura, but let us begin not at the beginning, but rather at the end. Or was it really the end? Story number 2 is about William and Mary.
I am the resurrection and the life, saith the Lord. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die.
So, you see, Mrs. Pearl, apart from the few small bequests already mentioned, your late husband has left all his property to you. As his solicitor, I've been instructed to give you this letter. No doubt you'd like to take it home with you and read it in privacy.
Thank you. Yes, yes, I'll do that. This note, my dear Mary, is entirely for you, and will be given to you shortly after I'm gone. Do not be alarmed by the sight of all this writing. It is nothing but an attempt on my part to explain
to you exactly what Dr. Landy is going to do. During the past few days, I have tried very hard to speak with you about Landy, but you have steadfastly refused to give me a hearing. This is a very foolish attitude to take, and it stems mostly from ignorance. I swear to you that when you have read my story, your sense of antipathy will vanish, and I dare to hope that you will become a little proud of what your husband has done. As my time draws near, it is natural that I begin to brim with every kind of sentimentality. I have a wish, for example, to write something about you, and what a satisfactory wife you have been to me through the years. I have a yearning also to speak about Oxford, where I've been living and teaching for the past 17 years. All the things and places that I loved so well keep crowding in on me now in this gloomy hospital room, and I can see them more clearly than ever. The details of the illness that struck me down in my middle life are well known to you, and I do not need to repeat them here. Suffice it to say that I admit at once how foolish I was not to have gone earlier to my doctor. 6 weeks ago, John Landy came to see me. He is a magnificent neurosurgeon, much involved with the varying effects of prefrontal lobotomies upon different types of psychopath. Maybe you have never met him, but he and I have been friendly for at least 9 years. And the moment he entered my room, I knew there was some sort of madness in the wind.
William, my boy, this is perfect. You're just the one I want.
Good day to you, John. Do take a pew. How may I be of help?
Now, look. In a few weeks, you are going to be dead, correct?
So it would seem.
And then they'll take you out and cremate you.
Bury me.
That is even worse. And then what? Do you believe you'll go to heaven?
I doubt it, though it would be comforting to think so.
Or hell, perhaps.
I don't really see why they should send me there.
You never know, my dear William.
What is all this about, John?
Well, personally, I don't believe that after you're dead you'll ever hear of yourself again. Unless you have the sense to put yourself into my hands. I'm really serious about it, William. Would you care to consider a proposition?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Then listen and I'll tell you.
Go on, then, if you like. I doubt if I've got very much to lose by hearing it.
On the contrary, you have a great deal to gain, especially after you're dead. This is a thing, William, that I've been working on quietly for some years. One or two others here at the hospital have been helping me. We've completed a number of fairly successful trials with laboratory animals. I'm at the stage now when I'm willing to have a go with a human. It's a big idea, and it may seem a bit far-fetched at first. But from a surgical point of view, there doesn't seem to be any reason why it shouldn't be more or less practicable. Now, quite a long time ago, I saw a short medical film that had been brought over from Russia. It showed a dog's head, completely severed from the body, but with the normal blood supply being maintained through the arteries and veins by a means of an artificial heart. Now, the thing is this. That dog's head, sitting there all alone on a sort of tray, was alive.
I find that difficult to believe.
I tell you, the brain was functioning. They proved it by several tests. For example, when food was smeared on the dog's lips, the tongue would come out and lick it away, and the eyes would follow a person moving across the room. Now then, my own thought is to remove the brain from the skull of a human being and keep it alive and functioning as an independent unit for an unlimited period after he is dead. Your brain, for example. Now, don't interrupt, William. So far as I can tell, the brain is a peculiarly self-supporting object. The magic processes of thought and memory which go on inside it are manifestly not impaired by the absence of limbs or trunk, or even of skull, provided that you keep pumping in the right kind of blood under the proper conditions.
Yes, but
My dear William, just think of your own brain. It is in perfect shape. It is crammed full of a lifetime of learning. Soon it is going to die, along with the rest of your body, simply because your silly little pancreas is riddled with cancer.
No, thank you. You can stop there. It's a repulsive idea. And even if you could do it, it would be quite pointless. What possible use is there in keeping my brain alive if I couldn't talk or see or hear or feel? Personally, I can think of nothing more unpleasant.
But I haven't told you about the eye yet.
Huh?
We might even succeed in giving you a certain amount of vision. Now listen, I would try to leave one of your optic nerves intact as well as the eye itself. The beauty of it is that it's not really a nerve at all. It's an outpouching of the brain, and it is attached to the eyeball, so the back of the eye is in very close contact with the brain, you see?
How convenient.
Oh, I'm afraid there wouldn't be any muscles there to move it around, but it might be sort of fun to lie there quietly and peer out at the world.
Hilarious. How about leaving me an ear as well?
I'd rather not try an ear this time.
I want an ear. I insist upon an ear.
No.
I want to listen to Bach.
I don't understand how difficult it would be. The hearing apparatus is a far more delicate mechanism than the eye. You really must leave me to decide what is possible and what isn't.
You talk as if it's all arranged. I tell you, I don't fancy the idea.
Would you rather be dead altogether?
Perhaps I would. I don't know yet. I wouldn't be able to speak, would I?
Oh, of course not.
Then how could I communicate with you? What if it turned out to be terribly painful and I couldn't stand it? No legs to run away on, no voice to scream with. How would you know if I were conscious?
Oh, that part would be easy. An ordinary electroencephalograph could tell us that. We'd attach the electrodes to the frontal lobes of your brain.
But I couldn't communicate with you.
As a matter of fact, I believe you could.
Huh?
There's a man up in London called Wertheimer who's doing some interesting work on the subject of thought communication. You know the brain throws off electrical discharges rather like radio waves.
I know a bit about it, yes.
Well, Wertheimer has constructed an apparatus which produces a kind of graph which is apparently decipherable into words and thoughts. Would you like me to ask him to come and see?
You're assuming that I believe any of this nonsense now. Why don't you just go away and leave me alone? There's a good chap.
I think that's a very short-sighted attitude. You'll be fascinated when you hear about the actual operation itself. But I'll come to all that later on. The fact remains that you are going to die fairly soon, whatever happens. And my plans would not involve touching you until after you are dead. Now, come now, William. No true philosopher could object to lending his dead body in the cause of science. After all, you carry a donor card, don't you?
That's hardly the same thing. And it seems to me there'd be some doubts as to whether I were dead or alive by the time you'd finished with me.
Well, I suppose you're right about that. But I don't think you ought to turn me down just yet before you know a bit more about it.
I've heard more than enough already, thank you. I can do without the gory details.
No, don't be depressed, man. Here, would you like a cigarette?
See, I don't smoke, you know, that disgusting habit.
Well, may I go on?
I'd rather you didn't.
I think you'll find it quite interesting. At the moment of death, I should have to be standing by so that I could step in immediately and try and keep your brain alive.
You mean leaving it in my head?
Well, to start with, yes, I'd have to.
And where would you put it after that?
Well, if you want to know, in a sort of basin.
Are you really serious about this?
Certainly I'm serious.
All right, go on.
Well, I suppose you know that when the heart stops and the brain is deprived of fresh blood and oxygen, its tissues die very rapidly. Anything from 4 to 6 minutes and the whole thing is dead. So I should have to work quickly to prevent this from happening. But with the help of the machine, it should be all quite simple.
What machine?
The artificial heart. We've got a nice version here in this hospital which can do all the necessary things. It's really not at all complicated. Now let me explain. You see, the blood supply to the brain is derived from 2 main sources. The internal carotid arteries and the vertebral arteries. And the return system is even simpler. The blood is drained away by only 2 large veins, the internal jugulars. Around the brain itself, they naturally branch out into other channels, but they don't concern us.
All right. Imagine I've just died. What is the first thing you would do?
I should immediately open your neck and locate the 4 arteries. I should then stick a large hollow needle into each. These 4 needles would be connected by tubes to the artificial heart. Then I would dissect up the left and right jugular veins and hitch them to the heart machine as well to complete the circuit. You wouldn't be like that Russian dog, though. For one thing, you'd certainly lose consciousness when you died, and I very much doubt if you'd come to again for quite a long time. If at all. But, conscious or not, you'd be in rather an interesting position, wouldn't you? You'd have a cold dead body and a living brain. We could now afford to take our time. And believe me, we'd need it. The next thing we'd do would be to wheel you to the operating theatre. Now, it's important that you should know precisely what is going to happen to you all the way through. You see, afterwards, when you regain consciousness, it'll be much more satisfactory from your point of view if you're able to remember exactly where you are and how you came to be there. If only for your own peace of mind. So, the next problem is to remove your brain from your dead body. The body is useless. In fact, it has already started to decay. The skull and the face are also useless. They're both encumbrances. All I want is your brain. The clean, beautiful brain, alive and perfect. So, now I'm going to take this small oscillating saw and proceed to remove the whole vault of your skull. Could be rather painful. But as I'm sure you're quite unconscious, William, I won't have to bother with an anesthetic of any kind. Now, William, I've got the upper half of your skull off so that the top of the brain, wrapped in its outer covering, is exposed. Well, the next step is the really tricky one. I've got to release the whole package so that it can be lifted cleanly away, leaving the stubs of the arteries and veins hanging underneath to be reconnected to the machine. This is an immensely lengthy and complicated business involving the delicate chipping away of much bone. To do this, I shall now take this and slowly bite off the rest of your skull. And begin to peel it off downward, like an orange, until the sides and underneath of the brain are fully exposed. It's all right, I've plenty of time, because the artificial heart is continually pumping away alongside the operating table. Now, your brain is connected to your body only at the base by the spinal column and the veins and arteries. So I am now severing your spinal column just above the first cervical vertebra. Taking great care not to harm the two vertebral arteries which are in the area. Now, William, I'm ready for my final move. On this side table, I have a basin of a particular shape, and it is filled with what we call Ringer's solution. That is a special kind of fluid we use in neurosurgery. At this point, I'm cutting your brain completely loose by severing the supply arteries and the veins. Claps, please. Quickly, nurse. Thank you. So, I pick your brain up in my hands and transfer it to the basin. Here, now don't worry. It'll only take me a moment to reconnect your veins and arteries to the artificial heart. There you are. Your brain is now in the basin. And still alive, I hope. And there isn't any reason why it shouldn't stay alive for a long time. You'll be delighted to know that I have managed to leave one of your optic nerves intact, as well as the eye itself. Now I'm putting your eye into the small plastic case I've constructed for it. It'll take the place of a socket, and your eyeball is rising to float on the surface of the liquid. There now. Your eyeball in its case is staring up at the ceiling. I'm sorry I couldn't leave you an ear as you wanted, William, but if your eye works, it doesn't matter all that much about your hearing. We can hold up messages for you to read. And now, so that we can tell whether you regain consciousness, we'll attach these electrodes to the frontal lobes of your brain, there in the basin. And the electroencephalograph will register your thought waves. How lucky you are. Your thinking is no longer influenced by your senses. You are living in an extraordinarily pure and detached world. Nothing to bother you at all, not even pain. No worries or fears of pains or hunger or thirst. Not even any desires. Your brain could stay alive for 200 or 300 years in circumstances like these. Well, goodbye for now, William. I'll drop in and see you tomorrow.
I lay in bed thinking for a long time after John Landy left. There was something basically repulsive about the idea that I myself should be reduced to a small, slimy blob
lying in a pool of water. Then my mood began to change, and I found myself able to examine Landy's proposals in a more reasonable light. I am rather proud of my brain. As brains go, it is a damn good one. Landy has assured me that when my brain is in the basin, I shall be able to think and reason as I can now. Even the power of memory will remain. Well, Mary, as you know, I have tried to discuss this subject with you many times, but you have refused to give me a hearing. Therefore, when he comes to see me tomorrow, I shall tell him straight out that I'm going to do it. I won't say goodbye to you, because there's a tiny chance that if Landy succeeds in his work, I may actually see you again. I'm giving orders that these pages shall not be delivered to you until a week after my death. Be good when I'm gone, and always remember that it is harder to be a widow than a wife. Be diligent and dignified in all things. Be thrifty with your money. Do not drink cocktails. Do not smoke cigarettes. Do not eat pastry. Do not use lipstick. Do not buy a television apparatus. And incidentally, I suggest that you have the telephone disconnected.
Now that I shall have no further use for it. But before doing so, please give Landy a call to see how things went with me.
I'm so glad you called at last, Mrs. Pearl. You're quite well, I hope. I wonder if you would care to come over here to the hospital. Then we can have a little chat. I expect you are very eager to know how it all came out. Well, I can tell you now that everything went pretty smoothly. Far better, in fact, than I was entitled to hope. It's not only alive, Mrs. Pearl, it's conscious. Isn't that interesting? And the eye is seeing. We are sure of that because we get an immediate change in the deflection on the encephalograph when we hold something up in front of it. And now we're giving it the newspaper to read every day.
Which newspaper?
Oh, the Daily Mirror. The headlines are larger.
Oh, he hates the Mirror. Give him the Times.
Very well, Mrs. Pearl. We'll give it the Times. We naturally want to do all we can to keep it happy.
Him. Not it. Him.
Him. Yes. Yes, I beg your pardon. To keep him happy. That's one reason why I suggested you should come along here as soon as possible. I think it'd be good for him to see you. You could indicate how delighted you are to be with him again. Smile at him and blow him a kiss, all that sort of thing. It's bound to be a comfort to him to know that you're standing by. Well, you mustn't be surprised by what he looks like, Mrs. Pearl.
No, I won't.
It's bound to be a bit of a shock to you at first. He's not very prepossessing in his present state, I'm afraid.
I didn't marry him for his looks, Doctor.
Ah. Well, take your time when you get inside the room. He won't know you're in there until you place your face directly above his eye.
Dr. Adam.
The eye is always open, but he can't move it at all, so the field of vision's very narrow. At present, we have it looking straight up at the ceiling. And, of course, he can't hear anything. We can talk together as much as we like. In here. Well, I wouldn't go too close yet. So stay back here a moment with me until you get used to it all. He's in that big enamel bowl, that white bowl over there. Come, just a little closer. Not too near. That's the eye in there. Can you see it?
Yes.
Well, so far as we can tell, it's still in perfect condition. It's his right eye, and the plastic container has a lens on it similar to the one he used in his own spectacles.
Staring at the ceiling all the time can't be much fun.
Oh, don't worry. We're in the process of working out a whole program to keep him amused. But we don't want to go too quickly at first.
Give him a good book.
We will. Are you feeling all right, Mrs. Pearl?
Yes.
Then we'll go forward a little more, shall we? And you'll be able to see the whole thing. There you are. This is William.
Oh, goodness, isn't he large? He looks like an enormous pickled walnut.
You'll have to lean over and put your pretty face right above the eye. He'll see you then, and you can smile at him and blow him that kiss. If I were you, I'd say a few nice things as well. He won't actually hear them, but I'm sure he'll get the general idea.
He hates people blowing kisses at him. I'll do it my own way, if you don't mind. Hello, dear. It's me, Mary. Are you feeling all right, William? Your eyeball looks quite interesting. That network of tiny red veins. And there are little dark streaks in the iris, although it's so blue. Ice blue. I never noticed them before. I got your letter, dear, and came over at once to see how you were. Dr. Landy says you're doing wonderfully well. Oh, perhaps if I talk slowly, you can understand a little of what I am saying by reading my lips. I'm sure you're watching me. You look so calm and kindly like this, William. Almost cow-like, with that soft, gentle look in your eye. Are you quite sure he's conscious, Doctor?
Oh, yes. Yes, completely.
And he can see me?
Perfectly.
Isn't that marvellous? I expect he's wondering what happened.
Oh, not at all. He knows perfectly well where he is and why he's there. He can't possibly have forgotten that.
You mean he knows he's in this basement?
Of course. And if he only had the power of speech, he'd probably be able to carry on a completely normal conversation with you this very minute.
But you can't talk, can you, dear? No arguments and criticisms, no ban on smoking, no shirts to wash and iron, no meals to cook. I could live very comfortably with you as you are now, William.
Are you all right, Mrs. Pearl?
What? Oh, yes. Thank you, Dr. Landy. I was just thinking, I do believe I'm suddenly getting to feel the most enormous affection for him. Does that sound strange?
I think it's quite understandable.
He looks so helpless and silent lying there under the water in his little basin. Like a baby. Well, that's what he's like. He's exactly like a little baby. There, William, my pet. From now on, Mary's going to look after you all by herself. And you've nothing to worry about in the world.
It's almost as if he's trying to say something to us.
When can I have him back home, Doctor?
I beg your pardon?
I said, when can I have him back? In my own house.
Oh, you're joking.
Why should I joke?
We couldn't possibly be moved.
I don't see why not.
Well, this is a scientific experiment, Mrs. Pearl.
It's my husband, Dr. Landy.
Well,
It is my husband, you know.
But that is rather a tricky point. Your husband was buried only a couple of days ago. You are a widow now, Mrs. Pearl.
I want him back. Would you care for a cigarette, Doctor?
No, thank you. Shall we go back to my room now? Smoking isn't really permitted in the laboratories. The way out is over here.
Yes, that's right. I'll be with you in a moment. I want a private word with my husband. Oh. Mary's leaving now, sweetheart. And don't you worry about a single thing, you understand? We're going to get you right back home, where we can look after you properly, just as soon as we possibly can. And, listen, dear, don't you like the nasty cigarette smoke, William? I can see you didn't. You're looking at me just as you used to.
Come on, Mrs. Pearl. Come on.
Don't look so cross, William. It isn't any good looking cross just because you've got smoke in your eye. Not anymore, it isn't. Because from now on, my pet, you're going to do exactly what Mary tells you. Now, do you understand that?
Mrs. Pearl.
So don't be a naughty boy again, will you, my precious? Naughty boys are liable to get punished. Most severely.
That's enough, Mrs. Pearl. Come on.
Goodbye, darling. I'll be back soon. Isn't he sweet?
Yes.
Isn't he heaven tonight?
Come on.
Can't wait to get him home. And one day soon, William, there'll be a little telly of your own hanging from the ceiling, so we can watch the programs together. Won't that be nice?
Think about William when you go to bed tonight and close your eyes. William can never close his eye. For him, there is no sleeping and waking to separate his days. Just one long, continuous viewing of everything he hates. In the story today, Joss Ackland played Dr. Landy, and Elizabeth Morgan was Mary. William was played by Allan Dudley, and John Badley was both priest and solicitor. William and Mary was written by Roald Dahl, dramatized by Jill Brooke, and directed by Jerry Jones. My name is Edward de Souza, the Man in Black. And I'll be here next week with story number 3. And as you know, things happen in threes. Things certainly happen next week. Until then, be nice to each other.
Strange you never mentioned him before, Frank.
Oh, Tommy? You wouldn't have known Tommy Morris. He worked in the warehouse at Bristol's. Fine strapping lad he was, too.
And he left?
That's right. Couldn't stand the machinery. Oh, he made everything by hand up to then. But suddenly one morning, there it was. A bloody great machine that could do the work of 10 men in half the time. Tommy couldn't cope with that.
You managed.
I had no choice, Martha. It was either that or no job at all.
You could have joined the army, same as Tommy.
That's what Tommy wanted me to do. But I couldn't, could I? I had my old man to look after, and by the time he died, I'd met you.
You don't regret that, do you?
Of course not. What's all this about? Ever since I mentioned Tommy Morris, you've done nothing but nag and ask questions.
I'm sorry.
He's an old friend. We were close when we worked at Bristol.
That was 21 years ago. You haven't seen him since.
What difference does that make?
I'm not sure. It just seems strange to me that a man who spent all those years in India and places like that should want to settle back in a small place like this.
It's his home, isn't it? Where else would he go?
Well, I wish you'd consulted me before inviting him here.
What's the matter with you, Martha? I meet an old friend in a pub, someone I haven't seen for years, and I invite him home for a drink. Is there something wrong with that?
No.
Then what's got into you?
I don't know, Frank. Call it fancy if you will. But it gives me an uneasy feeling. There's something not right.
Something not right. Now, what kind of talk is that, Martha? If you see a black cat in the road, it makes you uneasy. 2 jackdaws in a bush sends you into hysterics. And when Denny Johnson lost a back tooth 10 years ago, you were convinced he'd be dead in a week. He's 90 years old now, and he's still running around like a 2-year-old.
Maybe.
What you need is to go to India yourself. Might broaden your outlook.
I'm perfectly happy where I am, thank you. I don't need to go anywhere else.
Are you sure?
Yes. I've got a fine roof over my head, and I've got my son. What more do I want?
What about me?
Oh, we've got each other, that goes without saying.
Does it?
Frank. Frank.
Yes.
I'm sorry if I'm back. I don't mean to.
I know.
And you are happy, aren't you? Content.
Yes, Martha. I'm content. It's just that you spend your whole life doing the same thing day after day, and suddenly a door opens and you wonder what you've missed. You should have heard his stories, Martha. The places he's been to, the things he's seen. What have I achieved? After 40 years at Bristol's, what have I got?
You've got everything, Frank. You just don't realise it since you met him again.
Martha!
No, Frank. He's got nothing. Neither chick, nor child, nor a roof he can call his own. We've got those things.
We haven't got this house yet. I still owe £200 on the mortgage.
Don't worry about that. In a few years from now, that'll be paid off.
On my pension?
We'll manage. What we've got is solid, Frank. It's safe. We don't need anything else.
Yes, Martha.
Frank, hold me for a minute. Just hold me.
Yes, Martha.
Ma! Ma!
Oh. Yes, Richard, what is it?
Have you seen my clean overalls anywhere?
They're in the airing cupboard.
I can't see them.
On the top shelf.
I got them.
Everything's fine, Frank. We've got everything we want right here. Well, say it, Frank. Please.
Yes, Martha. We've got everything we want right here.
There. Your deal.
Thanks. What is that noise?
The garden gate. The hinge is broken.
Let's get around to fixing that.
You've been saying that for ages.
Mm.
Oh, I saw that old buddy of yours today. At least I think it was him. He was standing in the yard outside Bristow's.
Doing what?
Oh, nothing as far as I could see. Just staring at the warehouse wall.
Probably thinking of the time he worked there, that's all.
He's an odd-looking character.
Now, what's odd about him? You're getting as bad as your mother. She hasn't seen him at all yet, and she's got the heebie-jeebies. Would you like a drink?
Oh, no thanks. You go ahead. I'm on night shift at 12, and I need a clear head for that cutting machine.
Chop, chop. You know, Tommy hated that machine from the first minute he saw it. Do you know what he did? He stood right up on the folding bench, raised his 2 hands in the air, and cursed it 3 times. He left after that.
I don't blame him. He probably cursed you too for not going with him.
Why do you say that? There's no way I could have gone with Tommy. He knew that. Maybe if things had been different, I would have gone on. No point thinking about that now. Cheers.
Cheers, Dad.
You did.
old was he when he left Bristol?
Ah, I don't know. About your age, I think. Old enough to join the army, anyway. Why do you ask?
Just thinking.
About the army? Now, you forget about that. The army's no place for you. You want to kill your mother? She'd never forgive you if you did that.
Well, I can't stay in Bristol's all my life, Dad.
I did. Yes, yeah, I know it's boring.
Oh, come on, it's more than that. All I do is cut paper. Chop, chop. The pulp is fed in at one end of the machine, and I stand at the other end. When the paper roll is long enough, I cut it. Chop, chop. God, you could go mad doing the like of that.
A few more years at Bristol's won't do you any harm. After that, you can do what you like.
Yes, Dad.
Twist.
Stick. Hey, 21. Pontoon. And fivers only.
Not my night.
Doesn't look like anybody's night, the way the weather's shaping up. Do you think he'll come?
Tommy? Ah, yes, I know Tommy. If he says he'll come, he will. We were that close.
Meet again, my old friend.
Tommy, old son, come in. You must be soaked. Here, let me take your coat.
Ah, right.
There we are. My son Richard was wondering whether you'd venture out at all on a night like this, but I knew you would.
Oh, it's rough enough.
Come on into the parlour and get some heat into your bones.
Aye.
Here we are. I told you you'd come, didn't I, Richard? Tommy, this is my wife Martha and my son Richard.
Hello.
He works at Bristol's now.
Yes, I saw you today.
Oh, at the window?
Where else, boy? Good evening, Mom. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Evening.
Sit down there, Tommy. Close up to the fire and get some heat into your bones. Would you like something to drink?
Whiskey.
There's a fine drop of porter here if you prefer that.
Whiskey. If I may.
Certainly. Whiskey it is. How about you, Martha?
No, thank you.
Then it'll be just the two of us, Tommy.
Like old times. The boy not drinking.
Oh, not tonight, Mr. Morris. I'm on night shift at 12 and I need a clear head.
The machines.
That's right.
Those machines ought to be blown up. I cursed the first one.
Oh, so my father told me.
Ah.
Here you are, Tommy.
Oh, thanks. Cheers.
Cheers, old friend.
You know something, boy?
What?
When I worked at Bristol's, we made things by hand. There's an art in that. There's no art in a machine. When that monster moved in, I moved out. I could have died there.
My husband hasn't died, Mr. Morris. He's made a good living out of Bristol's.
Is that a fact? I'm glad to hear it, Mom. A contented man is to be admired. I've never met one before.
You look contented enough yourself, Tommy.
I did what was right. I always did that.
My dad says you've been to India.
I have. And many more places besides.
And have you seen lots of strange things, Mr. Morris?
I have.
Tell us about them, Tommy.
It would take a lifetime, old friend. The burning sands of the Sahara Desert, the Taj Mahal in India, the Tomb of Christ in Palestine, and other things too. Along the northwest frontier, men dead with bullet holes in their eyes and their tongues torn out. Men with their legs blown off and their arms scattered in the foul air. I've seen all those things, and many more. Not fit to mention.
That's enough. I don't want to hear any more.
Ma.
It's enough. I don't want to hear about those things. Nobody does.
You're quite right, Mom. It's not fit for decent company. Perhaps you'd be more interested in a wee bit of magic.
Magic?
It's something I picked up in India. Would you care to examine it?
What is it?
Well, as you can see, nothing extraordinary. Just A monkey's paw.
Oh, it's horrible.
It's whistled.
Mummified.
Let me have a look. Looks peculiar, all right. And it's magic, you say?
That's right. It belonged to an old fakir who lived in India. And this man, a holy man he was, lived on the highest mountain in India for 40 years. During that time, he never closed his eyes to sleep. He never spoke to another living human being. He only had the one friend, a monkey. And when the monkey died, the old man devoured the flesh and scattered the bones to the four winds. He did, however, retain one part of the monkey's paw. And he had that mummified.
And this is the paw?
It is.
And how is it magic?
This old man believed that fate ruled people's lives, and that those who interfered with it did so to their sorrow. So he cast a spell on the monkey's paw, so that 3 separate men could each have 3 wishes from it, at their peril.
Did you have 3 wishes?
I did.
And were they granted?
Oh, aye. They were granted.
Has anyone else wished, Mr. Morris?
The first man had his 3 wishes. Yes. Now, I don't know what the first 2 were. But the third wish was for death. That's how I got the monkey's paw.
The man died?
With a mouth twisted in his skull, as if he'd seen something.
Jesus.
Holy God. Well, if you've had your 3 wishes, Tommy, it's no good to you now. What do you keep it?
Yeah. Fancy.
More than fancy, I think, Mr. Morris.
If you say so, Mom.
Can I have it?
No, Frank. If fancy is all it is, and Mr. Morris has no further use for it, throw it on the fire. Burn it.
If that is your wish, Mom.
I have no wish, Mr. Morris. It's entirely up to yourself.
Then, so be it.
No! Let me have it, Tommy. Let me have it. Let me have it!
I threw it on the fire. If you keep it, don't blame me for what happens.
I won't. Show me how it works. Show me. Show me!
Very well. Hold the paw in your right hand and wish aloud. But I warn you of the consequences. Your wife there is witness to that.
I'm no witness, Mr. Morris.
3 wishes.
That's correct, old friend.
Let me see. Come to think of it, I didn't know what to wish for. Richard.
I don't know, Dad.
Martha. Come on, love. What'll I wish for?
Nothing. You don't need anything. You know that.
Everyone needs something.
I don't. I've got everything I need right here, Mr. Morris.
If so, I envy you, Mom.
Yes, I believe you do. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have things to do in the kitchen. Good night, Mr. Morris.
Mom?
I'm sorry about that, Tommy. Martha gets upset very easily.
It's of no consequence now.
Well, he tells a good yarn, I'll say that for him.
Did he leave it behind?
The monkey's paw? Oh, I offered to buy it from him, but he refused.
What did he say?
He said I'd asked him for it 3 times, and that was all that was required.
He wanted rid of it.
You think so? You've no odd way of going about it.
He hates you, Frank. I could see it plain.
Martha, for God's sake, the man is my friend. He held my hand when he left and put his arm around me. He's just a bit strange, that's all. And why should he hate you?
I have no idea, but it's there. That man bleeds hate. He came for one reason, to give you that paw. And now you've got it. You're a foolish man, Frank.
I was never that.
Then burn the paw.
No. I won't give in to that nonsense.
You'll rue the day. I'll say no more. It's 11:45. Time Richard was leaving for work. Richard! It's 11:45.
Yeah, I know. I'm on my way. Are you two still on about that monkey's paw?
Your mother is.
You really didn't believe all that rubbish, did you, Ma? Well, I'll admit, he had me going for a while.
And me.
I know what I'm saying.
Well, you can easily test it out. I mean, make a wish, and if nothing happens, well, that's it.
You think I should?
You know what I think.
Wish for a case of whiskey, Dad.
If I'm going to wish, I'd want something more than that.
Here, I know. You still owe £200 in the house. Wish for that.
Now, that would be useful.
Well, go on, Dad.
All right. Where is it? Here it is. Now then. Was it the right hand he said?
Aye, I think so.
Right. I wish for £200.
Frank.
It moved. It turned my hand like a snake and moved.
I didn't see anything.
Nor me.
Didn't you hear it?
Well, let's have a look at it.
Don't touch it. I never saw anything like it.
I think the whole thing is insane.
What do you mean insane? You're the one who believed in it. And it moved, I tell you.
I didn't see it. It was just your fancy. I told you to throw it on the fire.
Wish I had.
I'm going to bed. Time you were at work. Good night, son. And God bless.
Good night, Ma.
You coming, Frank?
In a minute.
Well, don't be too long.
Well, I have to be going too, Dad. Hey, you'll probably find that £200 under your pillow when you go inside. And something horrible squatting on top of the wardrobe watching you pocket your ill-gotten gains. Good night, Dad. I'll see you in the morning, huh?
Good night, son.
Hi.
It moved. I know it moved. I must say, it's extraordinary the way things affect you during the night. In the cold light of dawn, it does seem a bit silly.
What did you do with the paw?
Ah, I don't know. It's inside somewhere. I'll get rid of it later.
You should have got rid of it last night.
Ah, well. No harm done. Is Richard not back from work yet?
No. He's probably doing a bit of overtime. He said he might earn an extra few bob.
Good for him. Mind you, that £200 would have come in handy, all right.
We're better off without it. Would you like some tea?
Might so. This gate has fallen to bits.
It's been like that since we came here. The wood's rotten.
Oh, aye. Why don't you carry on with your washing?
I've finished my washing, thank you. I'll make some tea.
The wood's rotten. It is, too. Morning.
Good morning. Mr. Murphy?
Aye, I'm Frank Murphy. What can I do for you?
My name is O'Leary. I'm employed at Bristow's.
Oh, aye.
I'd like to speak to you for a moment, if I may. Is your wife at home?
She's in the kitchen making a pot of tea at the minute. Do you want to speak to her, too?
I think it would be best.
Nothing wrong, I hope, sir.
Could we go inside?
Yes, of course. You'll have to excuse the mess. It's been a wet all night and there's mud everywhere.
That's quite all right, Mr. Murphy.
Martha?
Yes, Frank, what is it? Have you finished? Oh.
This is Mr. O'Leary from Bristow's. He says he wants a word with us.
Oh, you'll have to excuse me. Is anything the matter, sir?
I was asked to come. I'm sorry.
What's wrong? Has something happened to Richard?
No, Martha, don't jump to conclusions. What is it, sir?
Is he hurt?
Badly hurt, I'm afraid, but he's not in any pain.
Oh, thank God for that,
He was caught in the cutting machine, ma'am.
Cutting machine?
I'm not sure how it happened, but from what I can gather, he was talking to some of the other men about a monkey's paw or something like that, and he leaned back and fell under the blades.
Blades?
Your son is dead, Mrs. Murphy.
Richard!
Oh, God.
Oh, my God!
I'm extremely sorry. I really am only a servant, but the firm wishes me to convey their deepest sympathy to you both in your great loss. I am also instructed to say that Bristows disclaim all responsibility. They admit no liability, but in consideration of your son's service, they wish to present you with a certain sum in compensation.
What are you saying?
I'm sorry, ma'am.
How much?
£200.
I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whoever lives and believeth in me shall live forever. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He leadeth me through green pastures. Yea, though I walk in the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. Thy rod and thy staff.
Come on. It's over now.
I'll see the last.
You're cold.
My son is cold. Oh. Frank! Wake up!
Martyn, what is it? What's the matter?
The paw. The monkey's paw. Where is it? What have you done with it? You haven't burned it, have you?
No.
Oh, thank God. Thank God. Why didn't I think of it before? Why didn't you think of it?
Think of what?
The other 2 wishes. You've only had one.
Wasn't that enough?
No. We'll have one more. Go and get it. And wish Richard alive again.
Are you mad?
Where is it? Where's the monkey's paw?
It's there in the cupboard drawer.
Hurry. Light the lamp. We've had one wish granted. Why not the second?
Coincidence.
Light the lamp.
Martha, listen to me. He's been dead 10 days. Besides...
What?
I didn't tell you before. His face. When I went to identify the body... Everything. He was destroyed, Martha. The face cut off him. There was nothing left. I could only recognize him by his clothes. If it was too terrible for you to see then...
I don't care. He's my son. Do you think I'm afraid of my own child?
I won't do it, Martha.
Oh, yes, you will. And do you know why? Because you killed him.
Martha!
That's right. If you hadn't made a wish in the first place, my son would still be alive. You killed him. Now, I want him back.
He's dead, Martha. It's blasphemy.
Then kill me. Wish me dead. I won't live without my son.
Martha.
Get the paw. Hurry!
Yes, what?
Have you got it? Is that it?
Yes.
Then make a wish. Wish!
I wish.
Wish!
I wish my son alive again. May God forgive me.
Richard! Oh, my poor Richard! What was that?
A rat in the yard. I saw it earlier. He won't come.
He'll come. I know my son. We're that close. It's Richard!
No, Martha, please! What are you going to do?
I'm going to let him in. What are you holding me for? Let go of me. I must open the door.
No! Jesus Christ!
Richard!
For God's sake!
Let go of me! Richard, I'm coming, Richard!
God!
Damn you! I want my son! Oh, my poor boy, my poor child! Richard!
Paul.
Richard!
Paul.
Oh, Frank, help me! I can't open the
The
door!
monkey's paw, where is it?
Frank, help me, please!
Paul. Hell, oh, God, help me to find it, please.
Frank!
I must find it.
Can't open it,
I
Frank!
must. Thank God, I must wish. I must. I wish my son dead.
Richard.
My son is dead.
My poor Richard. My poor Richard.
In The Monkey's Paw, dramatised by Patrick Galvin from a story by W. W. Jacobs, you would have heard Edward de Souza as the Man in Black, if Radio 4 hadn't chopped him out for their repeat in 1991. But you did hear Frank, played by Oliver Maguire, and Martha by Trudy Kelly. Richard was Alan McKelvey, Tommy Morris, Mark Mulholland, and O'Leary was played by Kevin Flood. The producer was Jeremy Howe.
Welcome once more, ladies and gentlemen, to my dark and lonely home, where horror lurks always in the shadows, and fear is forever in the forefront of the mind. As a fellow storyteller once said, if music be the food of love, play on. Well, music isn't always the food of love, and today's story is a case in point.
Perfection. Perfection. This is balm.
Oh, Mr. Pawley.
Oh, Miss Eames,
I'm so sorry, Bert.
No, don't worry.
I ought to have thought. And, well, I mean...
Yes?
Well, Bach, in the middle of Bach, what must you
Oh,
think?
please, don't concern yourself.
But it's such an awful thing to do.
No, really, Miss Eames. You are forgiven. And anyway, it wasn't Bach.
But surely...
No, just a peaceful lute by, some Frenchman, I think. So, no great sacrilege there.
Oh, I know I only caught a snatch.
No, really, I am grateful to you for coming. If you hadn't turned up, there'd be no one at all to hear my little selection.
No?
Oh. So far, you are the only one.
Oh, Mr. Pawley.
Well, it's early yet, I suppose.
But I don't think it is. It's 5 past. That's why I was hurrying. I'm afraid Mother wouldn't let me go until I'd caught the end of the arches.
Oh, really?
It means such a lot to her, you see.
Still, at least you're here.
Yes. Haven't you heard anything from any of the others? They're usually pretty punctual.
Yes, I suppose so. Apart from Morris.
Well, yes.
Well, you can console yourself with that thought, Miss Eames. Had you been Morris, your entry would have been later and, well, louder.
Poor Morris.
Morris, I fear, would also have joined in with the music. So you see, I'm glad it was you.
Well, it's kind of you to say so.
And anyway, I'd feel a little foolish playing my selection to myself. I could have done that at my flat. On superior equipment.
Oh, no, Mr. Pawley, we couldn't have that. I've been specially looking forward to your programme.
Have you?
Most definitely. It's guitars and lutes, you see, my particular thing. For a start, you've got the sarabande and bourrée.
Oh, really?
The Bach.
I was aiming for a little variety.
That's what I thought you were playing when I came in.
I don't think so. I believe it was a French piece.
I expect you're right. It's just that it has rather been in my thoughts of late.
Because of my little programme?
Yes, it's such a lovely piece and, well, I expect you know, almost perfect for what it is.
Perfect? I'm not sure that any piece can claim to be that.
Not showy, of course, but so lovely, sort of sublime in the right hands.
Oh, yes. As always, the interpretation must be right, mustn't it?
May I ask who you've got on your recording?
Oh, isn't it on the programme I sent you?
No, it isn't, as a matter of fact. Actually, it's the only item where you don't specify the soloist.
Oh, don't I? That's not like me.
I wonder who you've got.
As far as I can remember, it was an acceptable interpretation. I do hate it when people sing along, don't you?
Sing along?
With the music, like Morris. Or perhaps you hadn't noticed.
Oh, that. Yes, I have, as a matter of fact.
Oh, it does spoil it for the rest of us, doesn't it? Don't you think there's enough of that kind of thing in society without having to contend with Morris?
Enough of what?
Well, people spoiling things, vandalism, graffiti, that kind of thing.
I suppose so, but what can you do?
This is what I'm saying. You should at least be prepared to punish people.
Punish? I don't know.
You know, you'd hardly believe it, but at the library, we actually get people defacing books.
Really?
Oh, yes. They write words in, they add bits to the pictures.
Do they? What sort of bits?
I couldn't possibly tell you, Miss Eames, but, we very rarely catch them, you see.
Oh, dear. How did we get onto all this?
Morris and his sing-alongs. I try to hold my breath.
Sorry?
In the quieter passages, I hold my breath so I can hear nothing but the music.
Really?
Oh, yes, it's possible to improve with practice so that you hardly know you're doing it. I can, for example, do the slow movement of the Emperor Concerto with very few breaths indeed.
Really? Still just us, I'm afraid.
I wonder if we should start without them.
Oh, poor Mr. Pawley. You deserve better from us, you really do.
You haven't been in touch with any of them?
I'm afraid not. We're not on the phone, you see. Mother doesn't like them, phones, that is. She says they intrude.
Well, perhaps it's just as well.
I shall just take off my coat, hang it up at the back. I'm surprised at Mrs. Baker. It's not like her to miss.
Oh, it's quiet. Tone deaf, but regular as clockwork. Still, perhaps it will be better to have an appreciative audience of one than a full house of less sensitive types.
Yeah, everything seems to depend on me. I hope I don't let you down.
Oh, I'm sure you won't.
I don't know how you can sound so confident, Mr. Pawley. You don't know me that well.
You think not?
Well, you've been with us for 6 months and you hardly ever speak.
Oh, no. No, I'm not much of a conversationalist.
Oh, I didn't mean to...
It's not something I find particularly easy.
It isn't. As a matter of fact, I'm always a little bit suspicious of those who do find it easy.
Oh?
Yes, it's not always sensible to judge people by what they say, is it?
And yet, don't you find, with music, it's entirely different?
Different?
Yes. Often you don't have to speak at all.
Ah, I see.
In my experience, people who really understand music usually understand each other. Very few words need to be exchanged.
That's just what I've found. And when I go to a concert or something, I never actually speak to the soloist. Well, of course I don't. But I do very often feel as if I understand him. Do you know what I mean? At a level beyond words.
Beyond words, yes. Whenever I get the chance...
What's the matter?
Didn't you hear it?
What?
A sound. Outside, listen.
Can't hear anything.
Oh, no, there was something, I assure you. I'm very sensitive to any extraneous sound, you know.
Maurice?
Too quiet. I better take a look. Not a soul.
Oh, Mr. Pawley.
Well, I shouldn't worry. Probably the biggest cat.
Oh, I do hope so. You just never know these days.
But I'm here, Miss Eames. You're perfectly safe.
Well, yes.
I'm quite capable of dealing with sniggerers at the library. I'm sure I can look after you.
Sniggerers?
Youths who come in to snigger behind the shelves. I throw them out without a qualm.
Do you?
Would you like me to lock the door? It might make you feel better.
Well, perhaps to be on the safe side.
Actually, the seclusion we get here is a good thing most of the time.
Is it?
Oh, we have the body of the church between us and the road.
Ah, for sound, yes. And the vicar does have the sense to keep a cat rather than a dog, I suppose.
A cat, does that make a difference?
Well, dogs make such a row. Howls, yaps, barks.
But so do cats.
Well, they don't bark, Mr. Pawley. Cats are almost always silent.
I'm afraid my experience is to the contrary.
Mother has a cat, and she has never once interfered with my listening.
I inherited a cat once.
You mean in a will?
No, my brother went to Australia, left the cat behind. It did not react well to music, I regret to say.
What did it do?
It used to make a noise like a sick baby whenever I put a record on. It had to go in the end.
Go?
Oh, yes. I don't think it suffered very much. Not as much as it used to make me suffer, anyway. But there you are. Perhaps I was just unlucky. Perhaps all other cats are attentive listeners.
Well, ours is very attentive.
The only creature I recall with any affection is the little listening dog.
Oh, you had a dog, then?
No, not mine. The record label, his master's voice.
Oh, yes. Such a perky little thing.
There it sits, completely attentive and utterly silent. The perfect listener.
Yes, seeming to understand.
Indeed. Just as you were saying.
Was I?
About understanding a soloist as you listen.
Oh, that. It is a little like that, perhaps, yes. Sometimes I feel...
What?
You think I'm silly.
Oh, I'm sure I won't.
Well, this is something I've felt for ages. I've never actually mentioned it to anyone before.
Well, please go on.
Sometimes I feel so close to the soloist that everyone else seems to fade away. It's really more than just a feeling, though. We are alone, and somehow we merge into the music. Oh, dear. I'm not explaining myself very well.
Oh, yes, but you are, Miss Eames.
You see, it's unlike anything I've ever experienced in ordinary life.
A physical experience, almost.
What?
You do actually feel it.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, you said him earlier.
Did I?
As if the soloist were always a man.
Well, you do say him, don't you? It doesn't mean...
Oh, Miss Eames, I'm sorry. No, I've pressed you too far.
No,
I do know what you mean, you see, and I suppose my understanding just carried me away.
I wouldn't want you to think...
Of course, it's just as I said. I don't know how to speak to people. I say too little or I say too much.
It's me who said too much, I think.
I was just trying to say how vivid your description was. This fading away of others, this oneness with a performer.
It's not silly, then?
Oh, no, not silly. I feel it myself.
Mr. Pauly, do you know James Wilson?
James Wilson?
Yes. Thinking about your programme, I wondered if you'd come across him.
He was killed in a plane crash last, yes, of course.
I was stunned. I just couldn't believe it.
You were especially fond of him, were you?
What I was saying earlier about being in contact with a performer was mostly about James Wilson.
Through his music?
Through his music, yes. But more than that, too, his actual presence. He was such a quiet, a gentle man. Did you ever see him?
I may have done. I go to very many concerts.
Oh. I'm sure you'd remember him if you had. You know, I once did the most awful thing. I saw him in a coffee shop at Snape. Do you know it?
I know Snape, of course. I'm not familiar with the coffee shop. I don't go to Snape for the coffee.
No, well, I was there 2 tables away, and he got up and went off somewhere, and I took his beaker.
You did what?
Took his beaker. It was only a sort of paper cup with a soft drink in it. I thought he'd finished, but he hadn't. He came back and looked around for it. My face was burning with shame, but he didn't notice. You see, I've followed his career since that amazing Spanish tour when he was only 22. And, I mean, you do keep mementos of people, you know, don't you?
Yes, I suppose you do.
And I do feel as if I knew him. When he plays, it's like sharing the most beautiful conversation with someone.
Really?
Except that actual conversation is, well, flat.
Yes, indeed. It falls short, doesn't it?
Usually, yes. Mr. Pauly, may I ask you something direct?
Of course.
Would you mind checking the sarabande to see who's playing it?
Oh, you think it might be Wilson?
I fear so, yes.
You fear so?
Yes. I have a little confession to make, Mr. Pauly. You see, I was intrigued by your programme and I knew I had to come along. But there was something about it that disturbed me.
Oh, dear, I certainly didn't intend that.
My heart missed a beat when I saw you'd got the sarabande down for tonight. The thing is, James Wilson recorded that in concert just before he died.
Oh, really?
Immediately, in fact, the week before. I know, because I was there and... Well, I'm not sure I can bear to hear it again.
Oh, but surely, I mean...
It doesn't really make sense, does it? But to me, the occasion was perfect. And perfection is not a thing you meet very often in life. I don't, anyway.
Haven't you got the recording there?
Oh, no. I've deliberately avoided it. It's probably stupid of me.
No, please. I understand.
So you won't mind checking?
It's the least I can do.
I'd be so relieved.
Let me see. It's among these, I think. Oh, yeah, here we are. Bark Salute Suite number 1, recorded at Thornton Rooms. Oh,
yes,
by James Wilson.
I thought it might be.
Oh, dear. Oh,
you
I'm
weren't
sorry.
to know, you weren't to know.
Well, look, let's put it to one side, then. Unless...
What?
Well, that conversation you were talking about, the feeling that you were at one with Wilson as he played, you don't think it could continue?
Continue? How?
After death.
Oh, no.
Well, in a sense, of course. Perhaps listening to him now might recreate that conversation.
But suppose the recording is less perfect than the live performance.
That wouldn't do, would it? I'm glad you mentioned this, Miss Eames. It would have been awful to play the piece without realising its effect.
I'm really looking forward to the other pieces.
Well, then perhaps I should start.
Yes, please do.
Yes. Well, here we go, then. Let's begin with a little shark Bittner, shall we?
Oh, lovely.
Miss Eames? Miss Eames, are you all right? Oh, I'm sorry.
Please don't do that.
I thought you were unwell.
You shook me.
No, I only touched your arm.
I'm not unwell, Mr. Pooley. I was listening, that's all.
It's just that I thought you were choking.
Choking?
Yes, you coughed.
Did I? I wasn't aware.
Oh, yes, you did. It was a little disconcerting.
Oh.
You're quite all right, then?
Yes.
Oh, good.
I was involved. I didn't hear myself cough.
Possibly it's something you're used to. It's a sort of nervous tickle, rather like Morris.
Morris?
It's pom-pomming. That's probably nervous too, a cloak for ignorance in his case, I think. These things often disguise other problems.
Does it disturb you?
It does, rather.
I meant the cough.
Yes, so did I.
Oh, dear.
And you haven't tried holding your breath?
No.
You could try that.
Except that I don't know I'm doing it.
Well, you do now.
No one's ever mentioned it before.
Really?
I wonder if it disturbs the others.
I shouldn't think the others listen well enough.
Only I know how annoying interruptions can be. Sometimes I get all the goings-on of Ambridge drifting up through the floorboards of a Sunday morning.
I don't know how you can tolerate
I've spoken to Mother about it time and time again until I could...
What? I might be able to help you, Miss Eames. To get rid of the cough, I mean.
How could you do that?
Well, I imagine that in many ways you and I are quite similar.
Are we?
I mean, we're not quick to get on with people. We tend to keep them at bay. Do you think you're a nervous person, Miss Eames?
Well,
You see, you didn't like being touched.
Well, of course not. No one likes being fingered.
But the lightest of touches on your elbow.
I know what it was. I'm not implying. You just feel like some item in a shop.
In a shop? Or on a shelf?
Pardon?
On a shelf, Miss Eames? It needn't be like that. You don't have to throw up barriers all the time.
You're not being fair, Mr. Pooley. You throw up barriers all the time. You never say a word in some meetings.
Yes, I know, and I'm beginning to think I'm wrong. You see, I'm talking about myself as well as about you.
I don't know. I thought we came here for the music. I'm beginning to wonder now.
Well, I thought that myself at first. I have to admit, though, that there are other things.
To do with me, you mean?
Yes.
I see. What about the others?
The others? Well, to be quite frank, I wouldn't mind if I never saw the others again.
I mean, you asked them along. You didn't just ask me.
Oh, My turn to confess now, Miss Eames, I think.
Confess what?
Well, the others, their invitations are slightly different from yours.
Are they?
They give tomorrow as the date of this meeting.
Tomorrow? Then how could you expect...
I didn't.
You mean you knew they weren't coming from the start?
Yes.
But you knew I would?
I hoped you would.
Then why didn't you just ask me to come? Why did you have to go through all that?
Would you have come if I'd asked?
I might.
Would you?
No, I suppose not.
You see, I had to do it this way.
So you're having another meeting tomorrow, then, for the others?
Yes.
You must have worked all this out, then.
Yes. It must seem fairly calculated.
You're right about one thing, Mr. Ford, if you don't mind me saying so. You and I make a funny pair.
Do we?
We have to go all the way around the houses before we can say what we mean.
But perhaps we are getting somewhere, nevertheless.
I don't know, are we?
I think so. I couldn't have spoken to you like this before this evening.
Perhaps not.
And you?
Me?
Would you feel more relaxed?
I suppose I must do. My tongue seems to be running away with me.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
But you know what I mean. I've never felt quite able to chat before. I don't know why.
Have you wanted to?
Yes. You always stood out from the rest of the group, so quiet and sensitive and so neat. And I couldn't help noticing...
What?
How often you seemed to be looking in my direction.
Was I?
I thought you were. I could have imagined it, of course.
No, you didn't imagine it.
Oh, I'm rather glad.
Miss Eames, there's something I'd like you to hear, without the others.
Go ahead, Mr. Pooley.
No, I mean a piece of music.
Oh.
It's rather special, you see. I don't think it would mean much to them.
What is it?
I was playing it as you came in, as a matter of fact.
The French piece?
No. No, it wasn't a French piece.
I knew it. It was the Bach, wasn't it? The sarabande.
Yes,
I
it
was
was.
sure it was. I was so disappointed to think you might have been wrong.
No, I knew it was the sarabande.
But, Mr. Pooley, why on earth should you pretend not to know it?
You surprised me. And, to be honest, I didn't think you were quite ready for it.
Not ready?
No.
But you didn't know that I knew it.
Oh, didn't I?
Well, how could you?
I think it's a piece you'll have to face again sometime, Miss Eames.
What do you mean, face again?
You're worried that the recording might not match the actual performance, but believe me, the recording is very good. It captures everything.
Well, maybe it does.
And anyway, it's also something I've wanted to share with you for some time.
Well, then why haven't you mentioned it before?
Well, I didn't want to spring it on you, you can see that.
I don't know what you mean.
Don't you think that you owe it to James Wilson to make the effort, Miss Eames? You could make him live again. You might never find a better time.
Well, will you stop it if I signal?
You won't need to signal.
But will you?
Yes.
All right, then. Play it.
Good. Good. Relax, Miss Eames. Try to control it. Try to hold your breath. Ready? There. Did you hear that?
What?
Didn't you hear?
Actually, Mr. Pooley, I'm finding it quite hard to listen. Why didn't you start
I shouldn't
at
be
the
surprised, I
beginning?
suppose, although it was clear enough to me, as clear as it was on the day itself.
What day?
The day of the recording.
In the Thornton rooms?
Well, of course.
But you weren't there.
At least I was. I sat behind you. You wore a blue straw hat.
Mr. Pooley, you said you didn't go to the concert.
No, I didn't. I was there all right. That's how I knew about you in this little group. I joined because I knew you belonged.
But I'm afraid I don't understand.
Listen carefully, and you will.
What are you doing?
Something else for you to listen to.
No, I'm not sure I want to listen to anything else at the
Sit
moment.
down, Miss Eames, please. This isn't exactly music. It's a tape I've made myself. I went to a great deal of trouble with it, and I'd like you to hear it.
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Pooley. I'm getting muddled. First you didn't know the sarabande, and now you say you do. Then you say you weren't at the concert, and now you say you were.
That's right, and I was less than honest about waiting for the others to turn up.
But why?
I hope that will become apparent. You'll understand a little better if you listen.
But were Were you at the Thornton Rooms concert?
Of course I was there. You think I'd miss it? James Wilson. I attended every concert it was possible for me to get to. Incidentally, the Spanish tour was when he was 24, not 22. Where did you get your information from?
I can't
Obviously, you didn't
remember.
double-check. Tell me, Miss Eames, which of Wilson's concerts was the best in your opinion?
The last will always be special.
Yes, there's really no doubt, is there? It was, as you said yourself, almost perfect. Almost.
This isn't a proper recording. What's the matter with it?
There's nothing the matter with the recording. It's just as I intended it to be.
Oh, please, turn it off.
Yes. It does great, doesn't it?
Was that me?
Oh, yes. Well, the cough was you, the loot was James Wilson.
But this can't
Oh, don't be silly. Of course it can.
Mr. Paulie, I don't understand. Why are you playing all these tricks on me?
Tricks? You think I'm the sort of person who plays tricks?
You're beginning to frighten me.
I said things would become more apparent once you'd heard the tape.
Well, now that I have...
Where are you going? Sit down.
Touch.
Now, calm down, Miss Eames. You're becoming irrational. It's most unlike you.
I have to phone Mother. I always phone her when we break for coffee, you see. Otherwise she worries so.
Well, that's something she'll have to get used to, isn't it?
You're getting me all confused. What is it that you want?
Well, I'll tell you what I don't want. I don't want to sit in any more drab, poky church rooms while Morris pom-poms his way through selections from Tchaikovsky. No. All I want is the chance to talk to that lady in the blue straw hat. Alone.
Please.
Wait! I haven't finished. You see, I was most anxious to get hold of that recording to find out if they managed to get rid of that ugly little cough. As you've heard, they didn't. The recording captured everything, Miss Eames.
But I couldn't...
Oh, yes, you could. I think you could. Not that matters anymore. There's nothing you can do about it now. The damage is done. All that's left now is the punishment. Yes. You begin to understand now, are you?
You can't do this.
Well, that's a silly thing to say, Miss Eames, because I am doing it. It's strange, but I have to listen to the recording now. I have no will in the matter. To begin with, I had to listen to see if the blemish was there. Then I had to listen to see if I could manage to ignore it. Then again, and again and again. Each time waiting for the cough and hearing less and less of the music. Then just hearing the cough. You know, it seems to get worse each time. Louder, uglier, more beast-like. Now I torture myself with it. I'm sure you don't realise this, but your cough can be heard 5 times on this recording. 5 times! The music is, of course, ruined forever. No, don't argue! Don't make excuses! I can never hear that music again without thinking of your cough. Even if Wilson were to rise from the grave and play it through to perfection, the ghost of that unnecessary blemish will cling to the piece. I know exactly where it comes. And if I don't hear it, I won't be able to prevent myself recreating it deep inside my head. You've destroyed something, Miss Eames. You must be made to pay for that.
What are you going to do?
Well, to begin with, I think we ought to hear the tape again.
No,
don't you?
I don't want to hear it.
But you must. You have to face the music, Miss Eames. And I did say I'd get rid of that cough for you, didn't I?
Well, that was a story which I'm sure all music lovers will find left a lump in their throats. Nigel Anthony played the man pursued by perfection, and Prunella Scales, the lady killed by a cough. The story was written by Nick Warburton and directed by Martyn Jenkins. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my deadly house of horror, and to the 5th story in my series. It is appropriate that this is story number 5, because the number itself appears in the title, and also the title is composed of 5 words. In the science of numerology, the number 5 is held to be a magical number, and magic, as you know, can take many forms, sometimes merely entertaining, but sometimes fearful and sinister, as in the world of black magic. My story today is a sinister one indeed, and concerns a beast whose fearful presence defies all normal logic. It is a story that truly takes us into that blacker side of magic where the number 5 holds court. Where did this beast come from? From where did it derive its terrible power? Why did it seek such a deadly and desperate revenge? But, ladies and gentlemen, allow me, with some trepidation, to present you to the beast who to this very day still haunts the mind of a certain Mr. Saunders, the beast, in fact, with 5 fingers. On the night in question, Saunders had been out visiting and had arrived back as the nearby church clock tolled 12. He let himself into the house, and as he did so, he heard his employer's voice calling him.
Saunders, is that you?
Yes, just back. Sorry I'm late.
Saunders, for pity's sake, come here quickly, in the library.
All right, but it's gone 12. I thought you'd be in bed by now. What's all the matter?
Oh, thank God you're back.
You sound awful, Eustace. What the devil's the
Shut
matter?
the door, for heaven's sake, shut the door.
This isn't like you at all. There's the famous balls over... My God, you're white as a sheet. What is it in the name of all that's wonderful? What is it?
Saunders, it's here, in this room, up there, in the little gallery.
What?
You won't believe me. I know you won't. I hardly believe it myself. It's too horrible.
Oh, come on, old boy. I'm known as Gullible Saunders, the man that believes anything.
Don't make a joke of it. Not tonight. I beg you. It's deadly serious.
Well, I don't see anything out of the ordinary. It all looks perfectly calm and peaceful.
I cornered it, but behind those books, the big shelf there. It's tired, too, I think, for the minute. Won't move for a little. It's been leading me a merry dance all evening, Saunders.
It? What do you mean, it? I mean, for a hard-headed scientist, I must say you're being deuced mysterious.
But think I want to be mysterious. I've got no alternative. If you understood what I know about that thing behind the books...
Look here, Eustace, you're either temporarily off your head or there is something behind the books. I'm going to look at it.
Don't go near it, not yet. Please. It might...
Might what?
Listen, Saunders. If you sit down, I'll tell you what I know. And look, I'm calmer now. You can see that. I must tell you before I get you to help me catch it.
Well, whatever you like. What about a drink? Whiskey? Brandy? You look as though you could do with one.
Brandy, please.
Mind if I have one myself?
No, of course not. No soda. Thank you. No. Now, to begin with, I want you to believe that everything I'm going to tell you is the gospel truth. You remember that the afternoon post came in just before you went off in the car?
Yes, Martyn put the letters on your desk unopened.
And there was something else. A box. A little wooden box.
Oh, yes, of course. I'd forgotten that there was some kind of animal in it, a rat or something. I assumed it was the four-toed albino old Terry was sending you for our latest experiments.
Yes, so did I. Heaven help me. Do you remember what Martyn said when he brought the box in?
Vaguely. Something about the local post office boys boring holes in the lid. The thing was making a devilish scratching inside, and whoever had packed it had forgotten to make some air holes.
The thing in that box did not need to breathe.
What?
Now look. Do you remember My uncle Adrian Balzer.
Well, I remember he had the decency to die a couple of weeks ago and leave you more money than even you know what to do with.
You met him, I think.
Oh, once or twice, only fleetingly. Nice old chap.
He was a nice old chap, as you put it, one of the nicest possible. I used to visit him a lot during his last illness, did what I could to cheer him up. I used to sit with him when he was confined to bed. He was always very grateful. Now listen very, very carefully. You know that my uncle was completely blind?
Yes.
Well, a few months before his death, he developed the power of automatic writing. He was sitting quite quietly in bed one day reading Braille with his left hand when I suddenly noticed that he had a pencil in his right hand. He had beautiful hands, very long and slender. And the pencil was moving swiftly across the opposite page, writing.
And the old boy didn't know?
No, he was deep in his book. It was quite clear. He had no idea. It was even clearer when I found out later that this automatic writing went on most fluently when he was actually sleeping. He would fall into a doze, and then his right hand would grope about for a pencil and would start writing, just as if it had some kind of life of its own.
That's fascinating. What did it write?
Well, that's the point. Gibberish, absolute gibberish, complete nonsense, rambling words and phrases in a strange, ugly script, quite unlike my uncle's writing.
You're sure he didn't know?
Oh, positive. I tested him, asked him questions when he'd gone on for some time, and it was certain he knew nothing at all. And then one day...
Yes?
One day, after this had been going on for some weeks, just before the old boy died, it started to make sense.
What do you mean?
Well, I was watching, almost hypnotized by it, and it was so odd. And suddenly, it was writing my name over and over and over again. Eustace Bolsover, Eustace, with a strange, maniac intensity.
What did you do?
I spoke to it.
Spoke to it?
I said very quietly so as not to waken my uncle. I said, "Who are you?"
Well, did it answer?
Oh, yes. Well, not exactly. It wrote down answers with a kind of horrid facetiousness almost. Look, see this piece of paper. I took it away before my uncle woke up that day. I filled in my questions in the spaces between the answers it wrote.
Who are you? Never mind. Is it my uncle who is writing? Oh, my prophetic soul, mine uncle. Is it anyone I know? You will see me very soon. When? When poor old Adrian is dead and I'm free. Where shall I see you?
Its answer to that question gave me a stranger thrill than I'd like to admit. Do you see what it said when I asked, "Where shall I see you?"
Where shall you not? It is a bit weird, isn't it?
After you went out, I got a screwdriver and a hammer to open up this box that had come in the post. It was fairly dark. I'd only my old oil lamp on. I hate the glare of electricity. I took the screws and the nails out and put a heavy book on the lid to keep it down while I went to fetch a cage from the lab. Before I was out of the room, I heard a crash. The book had fallen off. The animal was stronger than I thought. It had escaped. I could hear it scuttling up the little iron stairway to the gallery library.
What was it? A rat?
I was going after it when my eye fell on the unopened letters Martyn had brought in. For some reason, I felt compelled to open one of them. I don't know why. Read it. It was from old Stoker, the family solicitor. Look at the last paragraph. Starting at a very strange request.
Yes. A very strange request from your late uncle. Just before he died, had a letter from him. Take it he was very ill and couldn't write easily. The script was rather awkward. Cancelled his previous instructions about his funeral. He wished his body to be embalmed when he died and gave us the address of the man we were to employ with orders saying that his right hand was to be amputated and sent to you, stating that it was at your special request.
When I read that, I was suddenly more frightened than I had ever been in my life. I got up to my feet. Somehow, I climbed the stairs to the gallery, switched on the light, and about 6 yards in front of me, crawling along the floor, was a man's hand. My uncle's hand. It was like a hideous grey toad.
I don't believe it. I can't believe it. It doesn't make sense.
There, Saunders. Do you believe it now, those books? It's throwing them down. Do you hear? It's throwing them down.
It's insane. The whole thing is insane.
If you mean that it's insane, I believe you're right. I told you it led me a devil's own dance tonight before I trapped it. It can move like lightning, whatever it is. It was only by chance I forced it onto the shelf and jammed it in. I was exhausted and sickened by the whole business.
Well, it's got its strength back now, it seems. Oh, my God. Those were hurled at us.
Me. Now, we'll have to get up to the gallery to catch it. We must. Come on.
But how the devil can we catch it?
Don't know, but we must. That's all.
I still can't believe it. I can't. It must be a rat throwing books.
It's there. It's behind there. Put your own hand in there, Paul. What are you waiting for? Feel it, feel it, feel the smooth stump of it and those long fingers. Go on, feel it.
Sixtus, you must get a hold of yourself. It can't be a hand. It can't.
Where have you... There. Did you see? It's out.
Oh my God.
It's coming down the steps there. Saunders, we must get out of it. It mustn't get out of this room.
It's trying to open the window.
We must head it off. Stand by the door so we can't get out.
Right.
Oh,
it's coming towards you, Eustace. It's on the piano.
I got it, Saunders. I'm crazy. Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible. It's as cold as death. I can't hold it. I can't. It's pointing me through it in the fire. I can't do that. Saunders, for heaven's sake, look on my desk. There is a hammer and some nails.
Oh, you can't mean...
Do exactly as I tell you. It's the lid of the box down there. Yes. I'm going to nail it to it. Yes. That's it. Now. Give me that hammer. Hold that nail above it. Damn it, then. Do what I say.
It's writhing. You're hurting it. There, Eustace, it's madness.
Now, open the desk. You can stay in there till it dies. Whatever it is. If it can die. Now lock it. And the key goes in my pocket. Now, for the love of heaven, man. Brandy. More brandy.
Beg pardon, sir. I thought I'd let you know that I've done as you asked.
Done? Done what?
Well, sir, I found your note when I went into the library this morning. A draft must have blown it off the desk onto the floor.
What in the world are you talking about, Morton? I never wrote any notes.
Oh, excuse me, sir. I have it in my pocket. There it is, sir. It is undoubtedly your writing, Mr. Eustace.
My writing? Oh, give it to me. Give it to me quickly. Heaven's name, man. Do you think I could write this? Does it sound like me? Get a screwdriver, Morton, and break open the drawer of the old desk in the library. You need do nothing else. Do not open it. Only break the lock. Eustace Bolsover. Oh, why should I write to you about a thing like that when I'm in the same house as you, you stupid fool?
I'm sorry, sir. I'm most deeply sorry. I did think it odd. I thought when you didn't come down this morning you'd left the note for me last night. It was on the floor, just beside your desk, sir. And it is like your writing, Mr. Eustace.
Yes, I grant you that. Oh, I'm sorry, Martyn. You see, it can imitate handwriting. I mean, look at that letter to old Stoker.
I beg your pardon, sir. Who can?
Nothing, no, it doesn't matter. Well, what happened? I mean, you did it, you say. You broke the law.
Yes, sir. First thing, I sincerely hope, sir.
Oh, no, Martyn, because I can't blame you, but... Well, what are you staring at? Is there anything else?
Well, yes, sir. I'm afraid that one of your specimens from the laboratory must have got loose. A peculiar-looking creature. I saw it this morning in one of the corridors.
What colour was it?
Well, kind of greyish-white, sir. It crept along in a very funny way, sir. Most unusual.
Did anyone else see it?
Yes, sir. I'm afraid the maids did. They said it was... No, well, you'll excuse me, sir. They said it was a hand they saw. Emma trod on it once at the foot of the stairs. She thought it was a toad, only white. And then Jane was washing up the dishes in the scullery, and she took her hands out of the water and was drying them absent-minded-like on the roller towel. And she found she was drying someone else's hand as well, only colder. Of course, I told them not to be silly. What's that?
It's out of the skin.
I know. It must have squirmed off the nail somehow and found a pencil and paper in the drawer and pushed a note to Martyn through the crack.
Bathroom. I see it. I went to wash my hands. I think it's mad. I've never seen anything more horrible.
We've got to get hold of it again. It's the only way. Which bathroom was it?
First floor, next to my room. Come on. Martyn, get a cloth of some kind and follow us. Anything.
Yes, sir, yes.
Open the door carefully.
There. Look, there it is. In the bath.
It slipped in somehow. It's trapped. It can't get out.
It keeps falling back. Oh, my God, look at it. That wound where you put the nail in is still gaping and bleeding. Does it feel pain, do you think?
I don't know. I don't know what it feels, and I don't care. I just want to get rid of it.
I had the most horrible dream about it. I dreamt I was putting on my gloves, those big fur ones, and it was inside one of them. It was sleeping in it.
It's the length of its nails. They must have gone on growing up. Look at them. Where's Martyn? Martyn! Hurry with that cloth!
Use a towel! This big bath towel.
This one's quick. It's from the blood chain. Oh, no, you brute. No, you brute. You don't. I got it.
Hold it, Eustace. You must hold on to it.
I can't. It's all slippery. It's claws. It's scratching at. It's trying to kill me. Shut the window.
We brought your landing net from the laboratory, sir. Thought if it was an animal...
Damn, Martyn, get out of the way.
It's gone out of the window, Martyn, of all the idiotic times to come in.
Well, I really am sorry, sir. I honestly thought I was doing my best, sir. I did try to help. I do hope it wasn't one of your valuable animals, sir. I'm really very sorry. I'm very, very sorry.
Do you realise neither of us have shaved today? Normally, I look reasonably respectable in the mid-afternoon, even if I've been working in the lab. I've got quite a stubble.
Yes, well, I find the prospect of going into my own bathroom after seeing it there this morning quite frightening.
Call me, if you need me. Now, where's Martyn put my razor? Oh, here it is. What's it doing? Oh, my God. I can't bear it.
What happened? What's the matter?
It was here, waiting for me. I turned to pick up my razor, stretched out my hand, and suddenly there it was, grasping the hand of the razor and slashing for my throat. It tried to kill me. It wanted to kill me. It caught my neck, here, see? When it realized that it failed, it dropped the razor and disappeared through the window. Why does it hate me? Why?
I told Martyn we won't require him any more tonight and we should lock up very carefully.
Turn the key quickly. It mustn't get inside. Check the windows. Oh, what is it? That's what I can't understand. What is it?
No, I just don't know. Unless I mean, shouldn't we inform the authorities?
What will they say? The two fully grown men in full command of their faculties are terrified of an amputated hand. It hardly sounds convincing, does it?
It must have something to do with your uncle.
No. Adrian was a fine man. This thing is evil, dreadfully evil. It wants to kill me.
But he was blind. I suppose that made his hands more sensitive than most. Was he always blind?
Yes, as long as I remember. But no, it's useless to try that tack. It wasn't my uncle. I think...
What?
Oh, I don't know. It's too fantastic. The whole thing is just too fantastic. Oh, what about a game of cards or chess or something? Oh, my nerve is going.
Look, have some brandy.
Yes.
There, that should help.
Thanks. Oh. Look, don't misunderstand me. I just want to say I am glad you're here with me. Not for your sake. I wish you weren't for your sake, but I don't think I could have borne this alone.
Look, I'm glad I can help. It's the least I can do. I mean, somehow we've both got to face this rationally. We're both sensible men. Now, suppose... Oh, no.
Suppose what? It doesn't matter how strange it seems. It couldn't be any stranger than what we've seen.
Well, it sounds ridiculous coming from me, of all people, but I suppose some folk might say that some kind of malignant spirit had got your uncle to prepare a tiny body for it, almost. That's the only thing.
But that is what I have been forced to think myself. And you remember what it said when I asked when I would see it? It said, when poor old Adrian's dead and I'm free. Well, it made itself free. It wrote that letter to the lawyer just before Adrian died. I mean, the instructions to have the body embalmed and the hand cut off and sent to me. Why? Why me?
You've spoken to it. You were the contact.
No, it's more than that. I remembered something today, something my uncle said. I think he almost knew right at the end.
But you said he didn't know.
No, I don't mean fully. It was just at the end when he suddenly said, not apropos of anything particular, he suddenly said, education is good so long as you know to whom and for what purpose you give it. But with baser spirits... And then he drifted into a kind of doze. I waited for a little while, and then I began to go out on tiptoe, and then he suddenly sat up, and he said, before death, quite often people lose control of themselves and make absurd requests. And then he trailed off again and fell back. I didn't pay any real attention at the time. I wish to heaven I had.
Who's that? Who's there?
Me, sir. Martyn.
Oh, thank heaven. Oh, I thought... Yes, all right. I'll unlock the door. You can come in, Martyn. Well, come in quickly so I can shut the door behind you.
Excuse me, Mr. Eustace, something rather strange, sir. I was going the rounds to lock up and I found this folded paper just inside the front door. I think it must have been slipped underneath and not through the letterbox. It's addressed to you.
Oh, give it to me, quickly. Quickly. Oh!
Will that be all, sir?
Oh, yes. Yes, Martyn. You can go. Go and shut the door firmly.
Yes.
Firmly? Mr. Saunders will lock it behind you.
Yes.
Oh. Look. It's from...
Yes. Yes, I know what it's from. Let me see. Ah, yes. The old writing. Eustace, will 11 o'clock tonight be suitable for our last appointment?
Saunders, I can't bear it. I can't... Oh. 11 o'clock. 11. Eustace. That's all right. Listen. The window. It's at the window.
No, it's nothing. It's the ivy tapping. It's only the ivy.
It isn't. You know it isn't. But you can't get in. Oh, thank heaven for that. At least the window is locked and the door...
It stopped. It's gone.
Oh, Saunders, why me? Why me? I'm no worse than other men. I've done nothing to be ashamed of. I am no worse than you, Saunders.
You spiked it through with that nail. I think it was filled with pure malevolence at first to everybody. Then you nailed it. It can get in.
What?
It can. We forgot. The chimney. There's no fire.
Oh. Quick. Light the fire, burn something, anything, burn it, burn it!
Give me a match! Thank heaven the fire's ready.
It's no good. It'll never work. Quick, here, get off the hearth. I'll block the chimney.
Oh, where's the old reading lamp? There's oil in it. That'll get the fire going.
Hurry, man, hurry! On!
Hurry. That's done it. Plenty of oil. There, it's blazing up.
Saunders, the half of the oil spilled on it. You don't need it now. Help me back away. It's a light.
It's no good. It's blazing. Eustace, get back, man. Come on, get back. We must get out.
The whole place will go up. Saunders, get help. We'll never manage it. Unlock the door and get help.
Martyn, fire! Fire!
It's here. My God. It's here. It's in the room. Help me, Saunders. Martyn. Help me.
Rushing back into the blazing library, Saunders saw Eustace Bolsover spotlighted in a brilliant flash of light as the oil-drenched fireplace burst into flames. He saw Bolsover stumble and then fall to the floor. Then he caught a glimpse, or thought he did, of something black and charred creeping across the floor towards the terrified man. Then the smoke billowed up and swept the scene away. As the smoke cleared for a second, he saw the thing fastened hideously, grotesquely, around Eustace Bolsover's throat. Bolsover's eyes were turned towards him, pleading with Saunders to save his life. Then the flames engulfed him. In the morning, Saunders searched in the smouldering ruins for some sign of his friend. There was nothing. The bones had fused and limed in the intense heat. Of the hand, there was no trace. Saunders, you will realize now that Saunders is not his real name, has always been unwilling to interpret this horrible sequence of events. He has tried unsuccessfully to shut them from his mind. He once intimated to me that it could have been some malevolent ancestor of the Bolsovers that by some hereditary defect had managed to inhabit the flesh of his dead uncle. Or that it could have been the spirit of a former employee, a black-haired, spiteful little brute who died cursing Bolsover because he couldn't live to settle a score with him. On my last visit to see Saunders, he produced from between the pages of a Bible a blackened fragment of paper, part of the last short note sent by the creature. Will 11 o'clock be suitable for our... Showing it to me, Saunders crumpled forward, his face white and haggard. I can still hear that awful cry. The writing on the paper is thin and shaky, almost spidery. The writing of an old man or an old woman. And it is steeped in utter, indescribable evil. As I handed it back to Saunders, he whispered to me, "You see, I don't think the hand was destroyed. I believe it is still alive, waiting to strike again." Is he right? I don't know. All I do know is that everything you have heard is true, and I pray that none of you ever encounter the beast with 5 fingers. James Lawrenson was Eustace Bolsover, Kim Wall Saunders, and Cyril Luckham Martyn. Our story was written by W.F. Harvey and dramatized for radio by John Keir-Cross. The director was Martyn Jenkins. I am Edgar de Souza, the Man in Black, and I shall be back next week with another story in my series, Fear on 4. Ladies and gentlemen, once more, welcome. Today's story is number 6 in the list, and I notice in my book of numerology that the number 6 is associated with the power of prophecy. Certainly today's story features that power, and a very frightening prophecy it is. In a small churchyard beneath a perfect summer sky, 2 people looked down into an open grave. 6 feet deep. One of them is crying. The other is beyond tears. This is the story of the one they mourn. I invite you then to listen to story number 6 and to consider every detail but one.
You're listening to Chat Line with me, Hazel Brown. And today's expert in the studio, Jonathan Weiss.
Hello.
He'll be talking to us about the paranormal, psychic phenomena, ghosties and ghoulies and things that go...
Work? Oh, sorry, kiddo. Shouldn't be teaching you to swear. Well, not yet, anyway. Oh, we're home, Baz. Home again, jiggity jig. Kettle first or messages? Righty-ho. Messages. Kettle.
Hello, Jenny. Don't get excited. It's only Leslie. Just rang to remind you about lunch tomorrow. 1:30, usual place, okay? See you. Bye, Baz. Hey, Jen, I bet he's a girl. Jennifer, this is your mother, and I hate this infernal contraption. I'm calling to remind you to watch that Esther Ranson program tomorrow on BBC One. She's been through it herself, so she knows what she's talking about.
Yes, Mother. Good stuff.
I hope you're getting plenty of rest. Basil needs sleep. Goodbye for now, dear. Oh, your father sends his love.
Okay, Mother, what have you forgotten? Oh, come on, Mum. There's always something. Beef tea, eating for two. Don't go out when there's a full moon. Oh, wonderful. It's an event, Baz. Our first heavy breather. Listen, freak, you can moan as long as you like. See if we care. Come on, Baz, it's tea time.
Well, it's important to sort out your definitions. If we're talking about a tangible manifestation of something with a clear and definite form...
A ghost?
A ghost, if you like. Well, then I'd have to say that that was pretty rare. But there are lots of other things.
So, was it a hell of a shock? No, not really. Well, yes, a bit. Maybe jumpy.
Yes, and you can do without that sort of thing, particularly at the moment.
Please. Next thing, you'll be telling me to put my feet up and start eating for two.
I seem to have hit a nerve.
Oh, it's labelled Mother.
Sorry, it's my envy showing.
Oh, Les.
Oh, I'm all right. Tell me more about your heavy breather.
Well, he wasn't really. More a hoarse whisperer. And come to think of it, I'm not even sure it was a he.
God save us, whatever happened to sisterly solidarity?
Leslie, I think I preferred your wise old motherly advice act.
Sorry, but listen, seriously.
Seriously, though, folks.
Listen, sometimes that sort of thing can hit you harder than you know. What delayed shock, you'd be surprised.
Look, I'm okay. And it's never going to happen again.
I could quote you literally hundreds of cases of telepathy, divination, distant viewing, that sort of thing.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. We're covering everything from premonitions to poltergeist today, so whether you're a believer or a skeptic, keep listening.
I got plenty of nothing. No offence, Baz. Kettle or... Oh, no messages. What did I tell you, Leslie? Good.
Hello, this is Jenny Waterman. I can't come to the phone.
Come on.
But please record a message after the tone. And thanks for calling.
Oh, come on.
Jen, don't get excited. It's only Leslie. Just wanted to say I'll bet you my entire collection of Lady Penelope comics that your whispering wonder person hasn't rung again. Am I right, or am I right?
Hello, Les.
Jenny, you're a fraud. You were there all the time.
No, I'm not. This is just a cardboard replica.
Goon show references. Now who's showing their age? How are you, the two of you?
We're fine. Mind you, one of us nearly jumped out of...
Jen? Jenny, you there?
Who's there?
What? You got a cross line?
Les, can't you hear it?
Jenny, what's wrong?
But can't you?
I can't hear anything. Not a thing.
No!
What can you hear? Is it him again?
He knows my name, Les. He knows who I am. Leslie!
I'm here, but I can't hear anyone, Jenny. Are they still there?
What do you mean, help you? Who are you? Yes, still there.
Right. Now listen to me, whoever you are. If you are not off this line in 10 seconds dead, I'll have the law onto you faster than you can say Cagney and lazy. Have you got that, you bastard?
Go away, leave me alone.
Jenny, hang up. Hang up.
He's gone. Oh, yes.
Jen, you still there? Take your phone off the hook and sit tight. I'm coming round.
Now, it seems to me that there could be a perfectly rational explanation for that one, yes?
Yes, Hazel, I would think so. It's important to remember that 99% of all the cases we investigate turn out to be a complete blank.
Now, let me make sure I've got this straight. There's been 2 calls altogether, the same voice and the same words.
That's right. No, Sergeant, not quite. No words the first time.
But it was the same man.
Same person. Yes, it was. I'm sorry.
You're sorry. Let the freak apologise.
Yes, please. It all seems a bit silly now. Just some sort of stupid joke.
Do you know anyone likely to play that sort of joke on you? Your husband, maybe?
I don't have a husband.
Well, some friend, then?
This friend put the wind up her good and proper. Now, what are you going to do about it?
Well, I'm sorry, but there's not very much we can do.
Oh, great. Leslie, it's all right. Even if it does happen again, I can handle it.
Yeah, that's the way. Look, try leaving the answering machine on all the time, even when you're at home. If he persists, that might well put a stop to it. Other than that, the only advice I can give you is to have your number changed.
Oh, great. 3 weeks' wait and 50 quid on the bill.
I'm sorry, please ignore her.
My pleasure.
If this were Dixon of Dock Green, we'd have got a cup of tea at least.
Well, it isn't.
Thanks, really. Come on, Les. Goodbye, officer.
Good evening. Oh?
You sure you're going to be all right now?
Yes, stop fussing.
Right. Now get yourself indoors. It's freezing.
Yes, Mother.
Bye.
Bye, Basil. Idiot. And Les.
That's me.
Thanks.
Some of the best evidence we have is for poltergeist cases.
That's things flying around the room.
Well, that's one symptom. Or it could be unusual odours, coloured lights, changes in air temperature, in a few cases, even unexplained sounds.
So, naturally, when you didn't answer and I didn't get your machine thing, I was worried.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mum, I was out. I forgot to switch it on.
Out where?
With Leslie.
Do I know him?
Her. Leslie Parditer, old college chum.
So, everything's all right?
Fine. Fine. How are you and Dad?
I'm in perfect health. Your father, I'm sorry to say, has regressed even further and is slumped in the corner, deeply immersed in the adventures of someone called Green Lantern.
Well, give him my love.
I shall. And mine to you and Basil. Now, go and...
Put your feet up. I know.
Scoff if you like, but that sort of advice never did me any harm. You were a perfect baby. God knows how your father managed it.
Bye, Mum. Thanks for calling.
Goodbye, dear. And don't forget Esther Ransom.
How could I? Bye. No. I'll leave you on the table. Okay, Baz, so I'm a coward. Now, telly on, feet up. Oh, damn.
Jenny, help me, Jenny.
No. Please, no. mad, Les?
No, of course not.
Hear that, Baz? We're not after mother care for a maternity straitjacket after all. If I'm not going mad, then what the hell's happening to me?
Simple.
Simple?
You've had a couple of damn stupid phone calls from some idiot man with the intellectual capacity of a washing machine, and you quite naturally got upset. Then you fell asleep in front of the telly, and your subconscious did the rest.
You're saying I dreamt it?
Got it in one.
No.
Yes, of course, yes. Has it happened again?
No. Not yet.
Jenny.
No, it hasn't.
And it won't. Not if you tell yourself that everything's fine.
That's so glib, Les.
Yeah, I know. I'm lousy at giving advice.
I think you're very good.
Well, while you're in this mood, here's some more. When you get home tonight, do the both of you a favour and get some decent sleep. Go straight to bed. Give Crossroads a miss for once.
God, you're a hard woman. Right. We will.
Well, I could quote you several cases where people have seen an individual when he or she was actually miles away. Quite often, a distant person gives, or tries to give, some kind of important information, sometimes a warning.
If some kind of disaster?
It's been known, but sometimes the message is a more personal one. This sort of experience usually happens between people who are linked in some way. Twins, say.
You know, kiddo, I think you should go on a diet. Oh. Never mind, Baz. Only 5 weeks and 3 days to go. Good night. Who's there? Who's there?
Jenny.
Drink this. Careful, it's hot.
Thanks.
All right?
No. Thanks for coming.
Oh, forget it. Come on, let's get you back to bed.
No.
What?
I'm not going back in that room.
Jen, it was a dream, that's all. The old subconscious.
I was awake. I heard that voice.
Jenny, now, be reasonable. A heavy breather, I can understand. A crossed line, fine. Okay, it happens all the time. But a nighttime visitor who calls your name and then vanishes when you put the light on... It was a dream.
Why won't you believe me? I'm telling the truth.
Oh, shh. All right. You've had a hell of a shock. Come on. It's all right. Shh. Come on. You're coming home with me.
When someone has a psychic or paranormal experience, it often affects them very deeply. Their whole picture of the world is suddenly turned completely upside down. Now, coming to terms with that is frequently more traumatic than the experience itself.
Do people come to terms with it?
Well, some do. Others refuse to recognise the nature of the experience in the first place.
As a defence mechanism?
Or out of simple ignorance. They just don't realise what's happening to them.
She's asleep.
Oh, at last. Did she take the pills?
No. I knew she wouldn't.
Well, she should have done. She was in a hell of a state.
Does that to you? I'm told.
Oh, come on, love.
I'm sorry.
What for?
Oh, everything. I really thought I'd come to terms with it, you know.
I know. Me too.
I've sort of been living through it with Jenny, and now she's practically about to have the thing.
Oh, shh. Oh, I wish there was something I could do.
There isn't.
Yeah, I know.
I'm so sorry, Tim.
Will you please stop saying that?
Bully, let her apologise if she wants to.
Go right ahead and apologise, Jenny. Don't mind me. I'm only the man of the house.
How did you sleep?
All right, I think.
No more problems?
Oh, will you listen to Mr. Tack?
It's okay, Les. No, Tim. No problems.
And everything's all right?
Baz? Oh, yes. alive and well and kicking me to death.
Sorry, Jonathan, I don't really understand about the time difference thing.
It's quite straightforward. There's a theory that when you see a ghost, you're actually seeing someone who was there in the past. And the same thing may well be true for other phenomena. It's like a sort of occult recorded replay.
So, what's the verdict?
Mother and offspring doing fine.
Great, I knew it.
X-ray vision now, is it?
Absolutely. I also leap tall buildings at a single bound. Excuse me while I slip into this telephone box.
Idiot. Let's go and have some lunch.
But that's even harder to accept.
And funny, isn't it? That a subject which is itself more or less incredible should have some aspects which are tougher to take than others. But it's true. It's not even all that rare. And the concept of a fate or destiny that's mapped out for you, whatever you try to do to change it, is something you find in the myths and legends of every race on Earth.
You know, you look so much better.
It's amazing what a couple of days of normal company can do to a person.
Ain't about normal.
I was being polite.
Heavens, you have changed.
You haven't.
It's too late for that. And a lot of other things.
Oh, God, Liz.
What?
I'm really sorry about all this.
Oh, for goodness sake.
The way I've been pushing myself down your throat.
Rubbish.
It's not rubbish. I know how much having a family means to you and Tim. So, whammo, there I go with all the tact of an expectant elephant taking over your lives day and night.
Shut up, idiot. I'm glad we were there to help.
So am I. Or rather, so are we. Aren't we, Baz?
It's great the way you talk to him all the time. Any day now he'll surprise you and answer back. Jen? Jen, what on earth's the matter?
Jenny! Drive me home! I've got to get home!
I am not leaving you alone.
Oh, yes, you are. You must.
Just tell me what's happening. What's the matter with you?
I'm sorry. I know I've not exactly been myself lately, and I'm grateful for everything you've done, but please, I know what I'm doing, and I know what I want. I want to be left here on my own, please.
Just a couple of days
Will you please get out?
If anything should happen to you...
Go!
You can always ring if you...
Just go, for God's sake. I don't want you here.
Okay, Jenny. Bye.
For some people, the intensity of a psychic experience, the feeling of unique insight, becomes desperately bound up with the fear that the link, whatever it is something amazingly fragile and tenuous, something that could be irretrievably and permanently broken at any moment.
Talk to me. Talk to me, damn you. Baz? The phone. Oh, come on. I don't know what you need. You can use the TV, like you did before. But I'm switching it on. There. Like before. Now talk to me. What do you want? Does it have to be dark? Like this? Is that it? Shall I shut my eyes? What? Oh, talk to me!
Jenny.
Yes. Yes, I'm here. I can hear you.
Help me.
How? Tell me. How? Is it really you? Are you my baby?
Yes.
What? I can't hear you. Jenny. Yes. Yes, go on.
Dying.
Oh, no.
Dying.
You said I could help. You said so. What can I do? Oh, tell me.
Too late.
No.
Too late.
Oh, no. Speak, say something. Oh,
Jenny? Oh, Jen.
Have we got time for one last case?
Yes, I think so.
Well, it's an interesting one, I think, and it sums up some of the things we've been talking about. NASA, the space people in America, had a series of phone calls from a woman who warned them that their next space shuttle flight was going to crash, and everyone on board was going to be killed. She'd seen it in a vision.
My God.
Is she going to die?
There's no way to think this.
Please, I want to know.
It's likely. She's lost a hell of a lot of blood. We get people sometimes, they slash the wrists or whatever. But you can tell somehow they didn't really mean it. She meant it.
What about the baby?
Well, with the gear we've got in here, I can't tell for sure, but they'll be there in a couple of minutes. Never mind.
NASA get a lot of crank calls, of course, but something about this woman stopped them from just dismissing her out of hand. She told them technical details that an ordinary member of the public shouldn't have known.
Dr. Evans to room 307, please. Dr. Evans to room 307, please.
Darling.
Hello.
The traffic was appalling. What's happening? How is she?
Jenny's dead.
Oh, God. Are you all right?
They're trying to save the baby.
Do they think they can?
They're trying. Oh, Tim, it's all my fault.
What the hell do you mean?
I should have realised the state she was in. I shouldn't have left her on her own.
Oh, Leslie, listen to me. It isn't your fault. You can't blame yourself. Do you hear me?
Mrs. Pargeter, is this your husband?
Yes, hello.
How is he, the baby?
She, Mrs. Pargeter.
What?
The little girl. We got her in an incubator, of course, but all the signs are that she's going to be fine.
This woman's vision had apparently shown her one of the main fuel tanks on the shuttle rupturing on takeoff.
But that's incredible. That's exactly what happened.
No, it isn't.
What?
They took her seriously enough to check the tank. It was in perfect condition. The shuttle lifted off with no problems, and the flight was a textbook success.
Come to bed, love.
Yes.
That's better. Are you all right? Oh, I'm sorry. That's a stupid question.
Yes, it is. She was still alive when I found her. Did you know that?
Les, try to stop thinking about it.
I hope the baby's all right.
Yeah. I've been thinking.
Yes?
About... Well, we've never really talked about adopting.
No.
Perhaps we should.
Adopt?
Talk about it, at least. We ought to find out about the requirements. Do you think... No.
What?
We'll talk about it in the morning.
Jenny's baby?
In the morning.
Right. When I broke in and found her... When I found her, I thought at first it was the baby, you know? And then I realised what she'd done. But she was still alive. She spoke to me. I had to get right down beside her to hear. Got her blood all over my dress. She said, "My baby's dead." Over and over again, "My baby's dead, my baby's dead, my baby's dead."
The flight was perfect. But, wait a minute. When was this exactly?
Ah, now that's the point. This woman's vision was in January 1985, a whole year before the shuttle disaster.
But she got it right in every detail.
Every detail but one. She took it for granted that she was seeing the present, but she wasn't. She was seeing the future.
You know, I never really thought it would happen. I still can't believe it.
Oh, she believes it. Don't you, eh?
I can see so much of Jen in her.
Oh, she's beautiful.
She certainly is. She's everything we've always wanted. She's a beautiful, healthy baby.
In a small churchyard beneath a perfect summer sky, 2 people look down into an open grave, 6 feet deep. One of them is crying, the other is beyond tears, and the coffin is very, very small. In that sad little prophetic tale, Helena Breck played poor Jenny, and her mother was Diana Olsen. Leslie was played by Karen Archer, and her husband was John Sampson. The ambulance man was Anthony Jackson. Victoria Carling was the radio presenter, Paul Gregory the man being interviewed, and Brian Hewlett was the policeman. Every detail but one was written by Bert Coules and directed by Jerry Jones. My name is Edward de Souza, the man in black, and I invite you to return next week for story number 7, a lucky number, it is said, for some. Ladies and gentlemen, I bid you welcome to the 7th story in my Tales of Terror. And those of you who study the science of numerology will know that the number 7 is something of a sacred number, and held to be one that will grant success. Success, of course, most often has to be earned. There is a price to pay, and artists are often prepared to pay any price to attain greatness. My story today took place in the French countryside some years ago and was told to me by a certain Marcel. He and his friend Antoine dreamed of being artists, and to this end made their way to a place outside of Paris. It was a journey that was to open their eyes to human degradation and the terrible price that can be paid for success. The title of story number 7, the number which can grant that success, is By the River, Fontainebleau.
A river? There's a shallow place to cross. Or would you rather walk along the bank for a while? There might be a bridge.
No, I'll cross here.
With or without the usual list of complaints?
I won't say a word. Not when every step's taking me nearer to home. Have I really been such a bore?
You, Marcel, with 5 opinions for every one idea? No, I don't blame you.
Come on, I'll race you.
What?
I'll race you across the river.
Hey, you cheat. You started before me. Careful, Marcel. It's deeper than you think. Oh, I'm so...
Now who's complaining?
I'm not complaining. I'm just so...
Did the sketchbook stay dry?
Oh, my God, the sketchbooks. I better check. Help me off with the pack.
Turn round.
What is that?
I saw farm buildings just down the track. They're probably slaughtering something, that's all.
Farm?
If they look like sympathetic people, we might at least be in business for breakfast.
Oh, this won't take me a minute. I want to be sure there's no damp in the pages.
I'll meet you over in the yard.
That's barbaric.
Monsieur.
This pig. How long are you going to let it suffer like that? Its knuckles have been cut to the bone.
You want something, monsieur?
Only to ask the way.
To where?
My friend and I are artists. Well, we're studying to be painters. We're heading for Barbizon and then the train back to Paris.
You see few painters round here.
No, I can imagine.
Few city people either.
Is that so?
I see few people at all.
Well, if you can tell me where this track leads to.
Nowhere.
What? Nowhere at all?
The track leads nowhere. The only way out is across the river.
Aren't there even any other farms further along?
No.
Oh. Well, thank you for your help. I don't suppose...
Suppose what, monsieur?
Nothing. Nothing at all. Thank you again.
Go carefully, monsieur. You're a long way from home.
Yes, thank you, I will. I'll have to collect my friend, and then we'll be on our way.
Antoine! What? Oh, any luck? Apparently we're on the dead-end track on the wrong side of the river. The farmer looks like an ape, and if those are his sons hanging around in the background, they're barely one step above those wretched animals they're supposedly tending. The pig distresses you? Its feet have been almost severed, and it's bleeding to death. But there's a strange beauty in its suffering, don't you think? Strange is the word for it. If this is what you call opening your eyes, Antoine, I think I'd rather keep mine closed. Don't look at the pig, then. Just take a look over there, behind the pig. What are they doing? Hanging a sheep? Just look. I dread to think what they... Oh. Is that so bad? She wasn't there before. Who is she, do you think? I can't imagine. Please, Antoine, let's be going. Look again and tell me what you see. Antoine, I'm serious. Just do it for me, Marcel. I see a young girl brushing her hair in a mirror. Mirror's broken, and she's hung it from one of the butchery hooks stuck in the chestnut tree. Is that all? That's all. What about the girl? What do you see in her? Just a farm girl. Too heavy for grace and probably too dull for conversation. You wouldn't want to paint her, then? Certainly not. Even with the morning light behind her and the damp cotton clinging to her skin the way it does? No. Are you going to carry this, or am I? That hardly matters now, I think. What do you mean? I'm staying, Marcel. Staying? I feel as if there's something that's been waiting for me here. You're serious? There's no question about it? Absolutely none. I know what I'm doing, and I know I have to stay. Then you stay alone. Look, I've had enough of walking and sketching and being face to face with nature. I've yawned through sunrises and I've shivered through the rain. And if I died without ever seeing another tree or village or field of wheat, I'd be dying happy. What I'm trying to say to you is that I'm not an artist, Antoine. I'm going back to Paris, tonight if I can. If you want to stay on in some broken-down slaughterhouse full of half-wits, you're welcome to it. Oh, Marcel. Has it really been hell for you? I'm going to be a dull citizen, Antoine. I was born to be a dull citizen, and it's taken a trip like this to make me realize how much I've been looking forward to it. I can't come with you. Yes, I understand that. Look, let's not blame each other for anything. Agreed? Oh, of course not. Goodbye, Antoine. Marcel. You go and talk to the farmer, then. I'm telling you, you're welcome to it. Where is he? Over on the other side of the barn, shoveling straw into a pit. I'll sort out the packs and meet you down by the river. They drive a hard bargain. I warned you. What did you arrange? I can stay in their barn for 2 weeks, and they'll give me whatever meals the family can spare. In return for what? Every franc I'm carrying. That's hardly a fortune. Plus my watch and my father's gold signet ring. But that's extortion, I know it is, but that doesn't matter. Look, please. Promise me something, Marcel. When you get back to Paris, go to my father and collect my monthly allowance. Bring the money out to me before the 2 weeks is up. I really don't want to see this place again. Please, Marcel. What shall I tell him? Whatever you like. Whatever you think he needs to hear, but do it for me. Does the price include a fee for the model? I know what you're thinking. That's not how it is, Marcel. Enlighten me, then. Her name's Annalise. She's not French, then? No, I don't think so. I don't pretend to understand what you're trying to achieve by this, Antoine. I do know that I was telling you the truth. Whatever talent for art I may have, it won't survive outside the drawing room. So, your test has come and gone. I rather think that mine lies ahead. I can only wish you luck. Safe journey.
What kind of game does he think he's playing? He knows there's a job waiting for him at the bank.
A job that any young man with half of Antoine's wits would leap at.
Actually, I think he's quite good. Good. Or at least I think he's capable of it.
Good. As a picture maker, you mean?
Yes, sir.
Yes, but what's it worth, Marcel? Can you tell me that?
Worth, sir?
In hard financial terms. In the terms of a career. This art business is all right as a hobby, but as far as real life's concerned, it's about as respectable as the music hall. Oh. And who does he expect to support him while he's off indulging himself? Me?
Well, sir, he did ask me
to send him money, I expect. Well, he can think again.
Oh, I only wish the boy could see clearly enough to follow your example, Marcel.
Mine, sir.
We heard from your dear mother that you've now joined your father's firm.
Yes, Mum, I started this morning.
In what capacity?
As a clerk in the shipping office.
So, but eventually you'll understand how you have to get to grips with the business from the ground up. It's the only way.
And how are you liking it, Marcel?
It's an experience.
Exactly. So, go back to Antoine and tell him I said that it's too late in the day to be off playing in the woods like some overindulged schoolboy. There are responsibilities waiting for him here, and until he does return, I'm stopping his allowances. Will you do that, Marcel?
I will, sir.
Hello? Anybody here? Antoine? Are you there?
Marcel!
Antoine! Antoine? Is that you?
Of course it is. Why?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to...
Oh, Marcel.
Have you been ill?
Oh, I haven't been sleeping so well, that's all. Oh, I know I look a wreck, but it's nothing but look at you!
In my best suit. I'm a bourgeois now.
And a new and very expensive-looking overcoat.
My father insisted. I had the devil's own job keeping it dry when I was wading through the river. What about you?
Oh, I've been working so hard that I've barely been able to keep track of the days. But I think I'm making progress. I can show you sketches. I'm using God's open air for my studio. Come and join us for something to eat. We're in the field beyond.
We, meaning...
Lisa is sitting for me full-time. Didn't I explain how that was part of the deal? Well, come on, I've been telling her all about you. She's been looking forward to this.
There's the farmer and one of his litter. Do we have to pass the time of day with them?
Just not. It's best to say as little as possible. Whatever you do, don't stare at the boy. Good day to you, sir. Through here.
That was one of
his sons. The youngest and worst of them. Any decent, God-fearing family would have sold him to a circus. Oh, they are terrible people, Marcel. You wouldn't believe how terrible.
Around here, I think I'd believe anything. That hole where they were digging.
A pit. They cook their meat in there, a whole carcass at a time when they can get it. They bury it in the ground with straw and hot charcoal and shovel dirt over it. Takes most of the day, and God, the stink. Even the earth must be sour in this godforsaken place.
Come away with me, Antoine. There's nothing to keep you here.
Impossible. I'm far too involved.
Look, I have to tell you.
Not now. Not in front of Annalise. See her there, by the stream. Lisa, come and meet my friend Marcel. You saw him once before, 2 weeks ago.
Oh.
We arrived together, you remember?
I think... perhaps I do.
It's just shyness. She doesn't see many new people. Just give her a little while to get used to you. Sit down here. There's food in the basket.
I'm pleased to meet you, Annalisa.
Just Lisa, that's what I've been calling her.
And I to meet you, monsieur.
Marcel travelled all the way from Paris today.
You have heard of Paris, Lisa?
I've never been across the river, monsieur.
Lisa is the perfect model. She never complains, and she says she never gets bored.
Is that so?
Antoine, I have to leave you for a while.
Why?
I have to go somewhere. I'll be back before dark.
Of course, I think I've done everything I can for today.
Thank you. Pleasure to meet you, Monsieur Marcel.
And for me, Lisa.
Antoine.
She does this every now and again.
Where does she go?
How would I know?
Well, do I get to see the sketches?
Here. I've used all of my book. This is the one you left for me.
You've been busy.
Yes, they're only studies. Don't mistake them for the real thing.
No, they're very good.
Oh, such enthusiasm. I can see you're impressed.
No, really, I mean it.
Here, give me the book. It's all right, you know. I don't expect you to understand.
But who is she, Antoine? What's she doing
I don't know. She's an orphan, I think. The family just ignores her most of the time.
Does she work on the farm?
Work? No, I don't think so. I can't be sure. She just disappears for hours on end. Oh, it's not important, anyway. Did you speak to my father about my allowance?
Yes, I did.
And?
What do you think?
I can imagine. My father wouldn't recognize a creative thought if it barked and bit him in the arse. What am I going to do now, Marcel? I can't leave here. They won't let me stay without money. They've bled me white already. You don't understand these people.
Not half as well as they seem to understand you. This girl's something rather more to you now, isn't she? She's not just a model.
I don't know.
It couldn't work, Antoine. You know that. It wouldn't last, and your life would be in ruins. She's never even been across the river. She's a country peasant. And you're a banker's son from one of the best families in Paris. Now listen, come back, enter the bank. When you have a little money, you send for her and set her up in a small apartment somewhere. Nobody need know anything about it. You let your obsession run its course, and when it has, you pay her off, and that's the end of it.
It wouldn't work.
Why on earth not?
She can't leave this place, and it pains her to walk any distance.
Why?
Some old injury, I don't know for certain. You saw she's in awful pain just hobbling.
Then send a carriage.
No, you don't understand. There's so much more to it than that.
Then I don't see any other way out.
I do. It's the only one. You'd better come with me.
My God, what a place. How much bad food and sleeping rough do you think you can take?
As much as I have to.
It'll kill you.
Damn it, Marcel, can't you understand that I'm past caring? I found something that's more important to me than life itself.
Not impressed, Antoine. I've seen you in this kind of mood before. I know how quickly it wears off.
Well, perhaps this will convince you.
What is it?
The painting. Open-air technique for oils. This is what all the sketches have been for. What do you think? Now, you recognize the subject, of course. I've tried to capture the first haunting moment I saw Annalise. I couldn't get it out of my mind. Marcel, what's the matter?
I think something inside me just died.
What do you mean?
It's all there. The way the sunlight fell across her arm as she brushed her hair, those soft blue shadows behind her. It's a sad picture, Antoine. It's like a song about the brevity of it all. I was there. Why didn't I hear the song too?
But I still don't understand.
I'm thinking about my own pictures. My Fontainebleau landscapes. How nondescript they are compared to this. At least I know now I made the right decision. We both did. My technique's at least as good as yours. We always agreed on that. But technique's only half the story, isn't it?
You'll have to take it to Paris for me. Sell it for whatever you can get.
Sell it?
I'm starting another one. This one doesn't quite catch what I'm trying to say. I'd have destroyed it, but if it'll provide money to help keep me going, that's fair enough. I don't like to ask you this, but...
What?
He couldn't just lend me something on account. Just to keep me going until you get back. I'll repay you out of the picture sale.
You can have every sou I'm counting.
Oh, do you mean that?
If I'm going to be a bourgeois, I might as well go the whole hog and become a patron of the arts. Yes, I mean it. I was going to stay at an inn tonight, but I'll even sleep in this mite-infested hay so I can give you the money I'll save.
You believe in what I'm doing, then?
I'm envious, you know.
Oh, don't be.
Why not? Why not, Antoine? It's getting late. I know I hadn't planned to stay.
We'll put you up in the loft, if that's all right with you. The hay's drier and there aren't so many drafts.
As long as that ladder's safe.
Oh, it creaks, but it's safe. I appreciate what you're doing. We both do.
Then give me a straight answer. Why shouldn't I be envious?
Because the things we want most aren't always the things that make us happy.
Do you think you'll ever be able to leave this place?
I don't know. That's the honest truth, and unless you can sell that painting for me, I may have to find out in the worst possible way.
Antoine.
Yes?
I was afraid again.
I know.
I was trying to remember, but I couldn't.
And then don't torment yourself. It isn't important.
I remember leaving you and your friend. I was tired after sitting for you this morning, but I don't remember where I went.
You went where you always go. You went to the big stack of straw behind the house. You made yourself a space and you burrowed down inside.
But the next thing I knew, it was almost dark. And I was standing by the big chestnut again. I was exhausted, as if I'd been running. What had I been doing?
You were sleeping, that's all, like you always do.
You know this for certain. You see me.
Yes. I have watched you.
Sometimes I feel as if you're the only one who really sees me. As I am, I mean. As if when you close your eyes, I no longer exist. Because I didn't, in a way, until you came along.
Oh, that's just being foolish.
Who am I, Antoine?
Try to sleep now.
You won't leave me if I do.
No, never.
I must go now.
No, Lisa, no, don't. Please, don't go.
I have to. I'm sorry.
Lisa.
What's happening? That call. Where's Lisa going? It's the middle of the night.
Nowhere, nothing's happened. Go back to sleep.
You know more than you've been telling me, Antoine.
Don't interfere, Marcel. Leave me alone.
I heard you talking. I couldn't help it. You may have followed her, but she does more than just crawl into the straw, doesn't she? They whistle, and immediately she goes to them like a dog. And why? What do they do with her?
What do you think?
My God! And you just let them? I'm going to find out for myself. Don't try and stop me.
Why should I even want to try? You'll achieve nothing anyway.
This has to be the last place on Earth. Even the stars don't shine.
What do you think you're doing, monsieur?
What? Who's there?
It's late to go wandering.
I was following the girl. I wanted to know where she was going.
She has duties. She has to earn her keep like everyone else around here.
I can imagine what kind of duties.
Imagine what you like.
You can't treat her like some sow in a pen. Whose turn is it tonight? His.
As long as she has a use, she has a place here.
You make her sound like property.
That's exactly what she is. Now go back, monsieur.
Or what? Face a beating from your stick.
Why, monsieur, you're a guest. And Lisa has her duties.
Oh, good morning, monsieur.
Good morning. Any possibility of breakfast?
Go to the kitchen, Lisa, see what they've left for us.
Whatever you wish.
She just obeys everything you say.
I wish that were true.
You mean she's only doing as they've instructed her? Until the money runs?
That's all she knows. She can't see any other way of living. She can't see it changing any more than the rocks or the mountains.
What if she just said no?
To what?
To everything. She isn't even part of the family. What could they do?
I don't know. I'm not sure I want to know.
Well, haven't you tried to persuade her?
Of course. Every hour of every day. Then they call her and she goes, and then whatever they do to her just fades from her memory like an unwelcome stain.
Do you know?
I wrapped the picture.
Taken one last look?
That means nothing to me now. I'm on to other things. I've arranged for you to have a ride out as far as the main crossroads.
In what? A dung cart? I can't see this place running to anything much better.
There's a wagon. I've seen them using it. They're bound to show an interest when I tell them that you're doing it for me.
Because there's money in it.
Exactly.
Crossroads just ahead, monsieur.
And this is as far as you'll take me?
For what's been paid?
Yes, of course.
You're looking for charity, you're in the wrong place. So lives are harder than yours. We've told your friend we can't eat his pictures. When his money's gone, so's he. Ooh, there.
The girl.
Who?
The girl, Lisa.
What about her? Get his cases down.
Antoine's family is very rich. He could set her up in apartments of her own and give her an income. She could send you money.
None of that matters. She can't leave, that's all.
Why not?
No reason, monsieur. She can't. Don't forget your luggage, monsieur.
Does it have a title?
The Looking Glass Girl.
No need to ask why. Will it be varnished?
I expect so, when it's properly dry.
Painted out of doors, of course.
Yes.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know what I'm going to do with this, monsieur.
You're saying it's no good?
Oh, not at all, not at all. But good isn't what sells. Fashionable is what sells. That means classical characters in idealized landscapes, nature rearranged and tamed in the studio. Now you tell me, how do I sell this farm girl in a market like that?
So what you're really saying is that the picture's at fault because there's too much truth in it?
If you like. For what it's worth, I admire your friend's courage and talent, but I can't use courage. I just sell pictures.
Hello, Massa. You're on the wrong side of the river. My God, what's happened to you?
Money dried up. Threw me out. Near 2 days. Tried to go back in there. Set the dogs on me.
And Annalisa?
Had to stay.
I'll go over to speak to them. See if I can get her out.
Marcel, don't.
Let them set the dogs on me if they dare.
I won't achieve anything. It's too late now.
You think so? We'll see. Come on. So my new overcoat. Damn! The place looks deserted. Where will I find them at this time of the day?
Some kind of family gathering going on. People have been arriving all morning. I've watched them crossing the river.
So where are they now?
In the house, dining.
And what about the dogs?
On chains, till they let them loose to devour the leftovers.
Right, come on.
I don't want to go any closer. Please listen to me, Marcel. You'll be sorry.
Come on, Antoine. This is all for you. Blood coming from hooks in the chestnut tree and hot coals in the pit. And God knows what this sound resembles more. A zoo or an asylum.
For the last time, Marcel, turn back, please.
Turn back. They've done more than beat you, Antoine. I fear they've broken you. Come on, open up. What about Annalisa? Will we find her in here? Antoine, answer me.
What do you want, monsieur? You are no longer welcome here.
I want to speak to the head of this household.
You are addressing him, monsieur.
I demand to know why. What are you doing?
A small family gathering. Simple affair. Some fresh-cooked meat. A little red wine.
And not much of anything else that I can see.
Something you want from us, monsieur?
I want to know what gives you the right to abuse my friend in the way that you have.
Did we not honour our agreement?
Honour? I see precious little evidence of honour anywhere.
Then look more closely, monsieur. We are simple people. We stick to the letter of what we say. And what did we say?
We told your friend we couldn't eat his pictures.
What more is there to be said? Now, monsieur, this is a private affair.
Oh, please.
Just to prove we can be generous, a little something for your journey home. Here.
And Annalisa, is she still here?
Oh, yes, monsieur. She is here.
Watch out, man. You're dripping grease. Antoine, look what he's given me. Antoine, look what he's given me. Take it away. Somebody, take it away. Oh, God. Take it away. Please, take it away. You could still see the shape of her arm and the hand. I don't know how you can be so calm. You even saw them do it.
There is a terrible beauty in suffering, Marcel.
I can't believe you're saying this. You're mad.
You've still learned nothing, have you, Marcel? Or you can stand before a canvas and see saints and martyrs and thieves on the cross, and you'll nod your head and pass on to the next. But could you walk by so calmly if you saw a young girl, her limbs broken, strung up by her heels and bleeding to death?
Oh, my God. And you didn't even try to stop it.
An artist can only observe.
So your education is now complete.
If education is what you want to call it. I've glimpsed the poetry in human degradation. You see, I knew all along how it would end. I was fascinated, obsessed by the prospect. Do you know, she never uttered a sound. She just hung there, slowly bleeding to death. And now, God help me, I must lead others to the same trough of blood. I must relive the same degradation and suffering again and again and again.
Antoine returned to the family home. After less than a week, he stormed out and never saw or spoke to his father again. 3 years later, he died, stabbed in an argument outside a Parisian cafe. Marcel never again set eyes on the looking-glass girl. The painting does still exist. Right now, it's in a small private gallery just off the Rue Lafayette, but hurry if you want to see it. Nobody's ever owned it for long. You see, for some reason, unlike the number 7, it seems to be considered unlucky. Marcel was played by Stephen Rashbrook and Antoine by Kim Wall. Michael Tudor Barnes and Diana Olsen played Antoine's parents. The farmer was Anthony Jackson, and Victoria Carling played Lisa. The farmer's eldest son was Mark Straker, and his other sons were Stephen Tompkinson and Richard Pearce. The story was written by Stephen Gallagher and directed by Martyn Jenkins. My name is Edward de Souza, the man in black. And next week I'll take you into the haunted world of dreams. Until then, sleep well.